And we are back.
We are back, bumblebees.
We have the Hippiecrats, Scott and Wakenya, in the studio today.
I'm pretty stoked about this.
Yeah, we are too.
So are we.
This has been a month in the makings.
More like
I would
8.
say over.
It's been a while.
It's been a very long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Waiting for your ass. to
Yeah,
get
waiting
down
for me
here.
to get here.
Yeah.
I think it's been almost 2 months.
The snowman arrived.
All right. Just to be safe, just in
Okay.
case.
Yeah.
So we did an episode with you for the garden. That actually is going live today. We put it to YouTube. We put it to YouTube so that
Okay.
it will go out to the public.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Thoughts and prayers.
We're excited. For that.
The comment section.
We got a lot of love on that on Patreon.
Yeah.
The Discord community and our Patreon community loved that interview.
Okay.
And we had lots of questions about your long distance marriage and the long distance relationship, because there are a lot of people who are doing that now.
Yes.
And though I personally don't think that I could ever do that because I'm a needy bitch.
Self-awareness is a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, yep. We'll just leave it at that.
Well, we had a situation where we weren't doing that and we had to resort to it.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really willing to do it at first either until we actually did it and come to realization this was the best thing we could have done. So
You mean doing the long distance?
yes, it's odd to say that, but
Okay.
yeah.
It's worked for us.
Yeah, it's really worked for us.
Yeah.
So what got you guys to the point of saying, okay, we might need to consider this?
She is
Allergic to the cold.
Oh,
Yeah,
blame
aside
the
from that,
woman, babe.
no,
Blame the black woman, babe.
she's very, very neat and tidy, and I wasn't up to her standards. So I mean, it was every day. Can you work on this? Can you work on this? And I was overwhelmed, and I really wanted to fix these things. I really wanted to work on them. But
Yeah.
it's really difficult for me to focus on more than one thing at a time. I always hyper focus on
ADHD.
one thing. And I try to fix that one thing, but then I have all these other things. So it just became really overwhelming for me. And that became overwhelming for her, So after she moved, I really wanted to fix these things, but I was able to fix them at my own pace. And she's seeing a completely different me.
Yep.
And I'm a lot less stressed,
I should mention I have OCPD, which is like, I thought it was OCD, but it's not. It's a personality disorder, not a mental disorder. I'm just stuck in my ways. I want this thing looking like this.
Right, we
Spots
touched on
the
that in the
mirrors
garden, right?
make me want to, He has ADHD.
Gotcha.
They could not be more polar opposites of each other. So,
Yeah. And we would have tried to stay together, but we have issues with our previous marriages and
custody issues.
custody issues with our kids. So she had to move. We kind of had to do it this way. There was no other choice. But in doing it, we realized, wow, this is actually
Better
been
for
great
us.
for us.
I mean, the
Yeah.
distance sucks.
It does,
I wish I was in Georgia and he was in Florida or something close to, but it's been a blessing in disguise as much as it has its downsides. Yeah.
So what were some of the things, was that really like the only thing where you guys were like butting heads on, was the cleaning aspect of things, or were there other things that resolved with the distance?
I think our ability to reflect on our issues and our arguments there's pros and cons to it. Because we weren't there, it was easier for us to kind of self-reflect on things. But also when we would come to resolving issues, we weren't there to comfort each other, so that made it harder. But I don't know. I guess I can't really, because we were butting heads so much when we were living together. It was really.
I'll take this one, babe. So
It's like, I got it.
I got this. So I don't know if you know our history and how we got together and there's a
I
whole
remember
whirlwind of
We
romance.
know, but you should probably just run that again.
Tell the
for people.
peeps,
Yeah.
peeps watching the bumblebees. So
The pollinators.
So oh wow. So this whole thing, it was scandal. It was a TikTok scandal, let me tell you right now. So I was engaged to a certain fella and he was in a relationship with a certain person.
And I was invited to her wedding.
And I was in yeah. Which he said he might come to, but the tickets are too expensive to Kenya and such.
So I'm glad you made it.
Yeah, I did it.
Well played. Well played.
Yeah.
I did. Oh gosh. But my relationship was a red flag from the get-go. But I don't know if it was a pride thing. I didn't want to reach out for help. I moved to Nebraska. I should never have moved. It was one of those things. I'd already given a notice to the landlady. I couldn't back up on that. So I'm like, well, I already laid my bed myself, made my bed and laid in it. So I went and I knew it was a mistake from the get-go. But I was stuck in Nebraska, and I knew it was a bad idea. And I just eventually I got out of it. He got me out of it. We were TikTok just co-creators at the time, supported each other. We had the love was there, but it was very platonic. Kind of, I support you. You know, I want to duet your videos. We talk about the same message, but in different ways. So eventually, after the fact, I stayed in with this person in this relationship for about a month over. After it was already done, I just could not leave.
You mean you being in Nebraska?
Yes.
So the person was still in Kenya?
No. This was Nebraska. This was all in Nebraska.
Oh, this all happened
Yeah.
in
Yes,
Nebraska.
yeah.
Okay. And you guys met on TikTok?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Just to clarify.
So yeah. So eventually, he reaches out and he's like, "Hey, you seemed off in this video I saw last week or such and such," and I'm like, "Should I tell him?"
Yeah, actually, I had a podcast at the time.
Yeah.
And I invited her onto my podcast. That's why I reached out to her. You know, but then I saw she had a video where she was by herself in a hotel room, and I just sent something off, and I didn't want to,
Invade my
anything.
Overstep or something.
So I just said, "Hey, are you okay?" And then she's like, "Oh yeah, fine."
I took 5 minutes to answer that text. I was
Yeah.
like, should I? I like Scott. He's a nice guy, but I don't really know him that well. Can I trust him with this? What if he just doesn't know what to do with it? You know, but I was like, you know what? Screw it. I was like, can you talk? Okay. And I had to walk all the way to this park way outside of the house because I was being watched like a dog. Then I just broke down and I told him, and I'm stuck. This has been happening. I need to leave. I can't. I may have my money tied into this home because I've been working this whole time. The other one was not working. And I'm waiting to get my money back to move, but I don't see that happening because it's being used as a way to keep me. And then things just blew over. One time we went to the gun range and things happened, and I was told, hey, I think we're done. I was like, I think we should just call this quits. Let's just move along with our lives. And then this whole story happened, and he was acting like a dumbass, and I asked him to drop me at the side of the highway in BFE, Nebraska, in the middle of the night. And I got off because he was narcissism, the traits of narcissism where they're trying to control the situation, playing music super loud in the truck, driving super fast, windows down,
Right.
wouldn't let me charge my phone. I was like, just drop me off. If you're going to treat me like this, drop me off. So I was dropped off, and, the cops were called. It was an interesting night. I was escorted by 5 patrol cars to a motel. And then I called him. He was on the phone this whole time this was happening. So he's like, I'm coming to pick you up. I'm like, how? He just showed up.
It was like 9-hour drive.
It's like 900 in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
And he just showed up. I was like, wow, okay. He actually meant it. And we ended up together.
So you're saying somebody will pull up if they really want to.
Yes. If he
Yeah.
wanted to, he would, ladies.
So I have to know, what was it in the video that seemed off to you? Because that's to be able to recognize that something's not right while somebody's putting on the facade of everything is just healthy. What?
Well, she's a very outgoing person, and her personality is very poppy, if you could notice.
No,
And in this video, she's by herself, and she was just kind of meh, and it was just like a simple dancing video. And it was almost like she's such an out there person who likes to give her mind, talk about things that are bugging her. She's very passionate, and she was just doing simple little videos that, where she wouldn't talk, she wouldn't do anything. She was just like dancing,
Making content because we're obligated to make content.
Yes, and, it was
and
just
so my
like,
followers don't wonder what's going on. Why can you quiet?
so I was like, it just doesn't seem like her, So I didn't know if there was something going on or if she was traveling and just on vacation, but she was by herself, So I was like, usually she would make videos with, her ex-boyfriend. So I was just like, I don't know, is everything okay? I didn't have any intent behind it.
That was a nice catch, babe.
Yeah.
We get, believe it or not, people on our Discord will call us on it too. They'll be like, we can tell something's going on. Are you guys okay? Like, what's happening right now behind the scenes? Because they know us. What is it called? What's that called?
Parasocial relationships?
They know us.
Oh, there's actually a term.
There's a term.
Yes.
Okay.
They know us, and because of the amount of content that we release,
And
the
how
people
open
that
we are.
watch form a bond with you.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's one-sided because you don't know them. And like in public, they
Right.
cry and freak out that they're finally meeting you and you're their best
And
friend.
you're so unawares.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was a
Okay.
parasocial relationship. And there was obviously, there was more than that because you two actually knew each other. But I think there's an evolution in our brain happening right now because for hundreds of years, we've not been able to connect with people visually like that. for
Right.
thousands of miles away.
Yeah.
And now we're learning to pick up on social cues through a camera. That's wild.
It
to
is
me.
crazy.
I did realize my followers were they were not just followers to me. They became a TikTok family because in the midst of all this, and this is a very important part of it. Like I said, my finances were tied down. It's why I could not go anywhere. Could not just pick up my stuff and move. And my son, I felt so stuck. I made a mysterious video. It was in the dark in the truck. So people were like, is that really you? Is someone trying to steal your account? What's going on? I was like, just whatever you can send, guys, just send. I put myself in such a vulnerable spot because you don't go fundraising on TikTok. You know, it's like, that's one thing they'll use against you. But you have this thing, but you went to the gun range today. Clearly you have money. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. And I'll sell them if I have to. But right now, I need to move. Within a few days, 6K. People actually fundraised $6,000. I was like, wow, these people who've never met me. They're just like, what do you need? We'll send you what you need. And that helped a long ways in helping us get settled.
Yeah, and it sucked because he actually hacked the fundraiser. And
He hacked the fundraiser and cancelled the first one.
So she couldn't
So I
leave.
make a video vulnerable crying. Because I'm like, guys, he cancelled my fundraiser. And
Yeah, I actually cried watching that because she really broke down and she doesn't do that.
Right.
No, I
And that's when I
don't.
was like, I'm going to come get you. You know, that's because I saw no other option. You know, she was really putting herself out there to get the money.
Yeah.
She got the money and then she was messaging. She's like, it's not there. I don't know what's going on. Because she wanted to go to Florida. That was her main plan. And I was like, well, I can't get you to Florida, but I was like, I can bring you here.
As
and
you figure
and
things
you can
out.
figure things out and then you can go back. So that was our original plan anyways. You know, we were just friends at the time, but she was planning on coming here. And even if we were to date, it would have been a long distance start.
right.
You know, because I would have dated her from Wisconsin to Florida. So we just kind of did it backwards. Got
We did
married,
backwards,
then
we-
lived
then-
together,
then
then
we-
apart.
Yeah.
So
The parasocial relationship, that's, yep. And then, of course, after the breakup, the major breakup, the very public TikTok breakup, like if you're going to search African hippie breakup, it'll come up. I don't even search anymore because I'm like, no, it's my past. People were like, oh yeah, something was off with that guy who didn't like him from the start, or he didn't. Or you didn't say anything.
You
It
were
wasn't
all
our
here when we were making the
place, You know,
content.
because I'm like, you could have said something.
Yeah.
If you guys can see it, then it have given me some kind of measure and a pause. His own sister messaged me on Messenger on Facebook telling me, I'm so glad you left.
Wow.
A week later, and I'm like, now I'm scared. So
Right.
I was like, why didn't you ever reach out? She was like, I was watching you guys from behind the scenes, and because I knew there was a toxic relationship there, and he was just like, I don't talk to my sister anymore. I didn't ask why. I was just like, that's not my business. But there was something there. She was like, I wanted you out. She was like, I'm so glad you gave the kids structure, because he did have 3 kids, his previous marriage. But she said, outside of that, I needed you needed to leave, and I'm glad you did, even if it's the way it happened.
Yeah.
That was a sign for me that I made the right decision.
and it's crazy. We've actually had when we first got together, I kind of had this perception of how she would be in a relationship because her and her ex-boyfriend would always have videos, but it was always very like aggressive love type of stuff. you know?
Yeah, it was
And
for views.
So that's what I thought, like, you know, because I didn't know any
was.
better.
I'm
So
gonna pause you. What do you mean aggressive love?
like you know, I'd pick her up and
Okay, so like a lot of PDA and making it
Yeah,
known
but it was,
that
like,
you're
aggressive.
together.
Yeah,
You
not
know,
just
it wasn't like
PDA,
soft hand holding.
not
or anything.
lovey-dovey PDA.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know,
So
put her up against the wall type of thing.
he thought I was a freak.
Yeah, so I, so I
gotcha.
didn't know any better. You know, I'm not, but you know, I thought I was like, maybe she is, you know, but she's the complete opposite of that. And I was like, but this, she's like, yeah, that wasn't actually like what I liked. That's
She's
just,
like, I thought you liked, no.
she's like, that's just, you know, it was compensation. You know,
We'd
for-
get a lot of hate about being an interracial couple, so we'd take it all the way. Someone would be like, oh, the ancestors are rolling in their graves, so we'd make with a whip like in a cotton field. Just to trigger the people. So I think he thought that was...
Yeah, I didn't know any better. I actually had no relationship at the time. I only broke up about a week before we got together, or before we met.
It was a week. I was,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just crazy.
It's a whirlwind.
Me and my ex-girlfriend were invited to her wedding, by the way. So
I was not happy about it.
I think so. It's been almost.
And then he just went AWOL on me. I was like, fine. So I have a bone to pick with him.
I have a question about your ADHD, because you guys had issues with cleanliness in areas, right? Like, it's no secret that the house is hers and I just live in it. I have my designated work areas, the garage and my computer desk, and they are a fucking disaster
Oh, really?
all the time.
Well, you also have that little cabinet against the wall.
But I know where everything is, and I can just go get it. I don't have to look for it. There's no digging through drawers, but the
Yep.
rest of the house is super clean because she doesn't touch my work areas. Was that an issue for you guys? Do you have that like messy work area type thing? Or?
So my ex-wife, in the household, I mean, we have quite a few kids together. I was the clean one. I was the one that was very organized. All of my stuff wasn't out of place. I mean, it was very, everything was, you'd almost think I was OCD, and then the way I kept things organized and everything was like perfectly set. But everything else that wasn't my area, I kind of just let go, because my kids would mess it up or whatever. I'll just tell them, clean it up when you're done. And so I felt like I was super clean. And when we got together, and I thought I was super organized, when we got together, she told me she was. And I was like, well, yeah, I am too. But it was just the perspective that I had. I was the cleanest one in the house.
Right.
But then compared to her, I was like a slob, So all the other aspects of areas like the bathroom or things that, are shared spaces that aren't just mine, I didn't have as much concern about, and she did. So we would fight a lot on that. And
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
One time I found a handprint on the mirror. I was like, hey, first of all, why? What were you doing? Were you making out with the mirror? It was those,
Bracing himself.
in the beginning. It was
You sure it wasn't your handprint, babe?
I would remember, my love. And by the time it became a thing. And then he would feel like I was impatient, not giving him time. I was like, you don't need time. This needs to be done like this now. And so it's quite something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was trying to get her to understand. I'm trying, but I can only focus on one thing at a time. I didn't actually know that. She's the one that actually was researching the
ADHD.
Yeah, and she was like, you have these things.
I think you have ADHD, babe.
I was like, well, I was diagnosed with it when I was a kid, but I was like, I didn't go into it. I don't know what
And
the
you didn't
aspects of that
medicate
are.
either, yeah.
Yeah, no, they medicated me for like 3 months, but I started
then you
beating
got off.
kids up, and they're like, "You probably take them off this medication."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's funny.
I'm sorry, that just tickled me. I think you have ADHD. Yeah, no, that makes sense. They told me that when I was 7.
I was like, you didn't think to mention it?
yeah, I never researched or anything, But then she was going over all these things, like this is what you do, and this is an aspect of ADHD. Oh wow. Okay.
Regulation.
Yeah. So the fact that she was even willing to go into research and to find this instead of just being like, yeah, I can't handle you, goodbye, that meant a lot to me.
That's teamwork, though.
Yeah.
It is. It's really teamwork. Hey, babe.
Yeah.
I'm organized with my tools, my whiskey, and my camera stuff.
Yeah.
Everything else is a
Very
disaster
specific.
in life.
He's organized with his gaming systems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Well,
like,
that's
if you
more for
use that
show. That's a pride
mentality-
thing.
No, actually, mine are all organized in a closet where they're not for show.
Oh.
She would not let me show them. I had them for show when she moved in, and all of a sudden there's blankets
like-
on top of
I
them.
was like, no.
And I'm like, what? She's
What
like,
is
they're
that?
ugly. And I was like, they're artwork. No.
Now, to you.
Yeah, to you.
And we'd go to my interior decor and you said you would not try me. And you still tried me, babe.
It was in my room.
It was in our room. Shared space.
That's her telling you your chest and boundaries right now.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to read between the print.
So yeah, we had some back and forth.
Oh, we butted heads.
Yeah.
Plus, we know people don't like the terms alpha, but we are, in our own ways, both alphas. And we had to figure it out. It was boom, boom, boom. It's like one of you has to calm down sometimes. The other one, take turns submitting. And that's what you're talking about on the way here. And I was like, babe, wow. We needed each other to push each other to be better.
She's like, I want you so bad.
See what you
right now.
did
You sound like peaches.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, babe.
Yeah.
He's also a Pisces and I'm a Virgo, and there's something about sister signs that, and I don't believe that's what determines your characteristics, but some of those things are.
There's energies and
Yeah, there's
things.
energies there that are, yeah.
I do believe that universe has influence on how we are created. We are nothing but stardust. And if we are made of the things that move in the world, why shouldn't we be affected by it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Got nothing on that one.
Everyone, well, not everyone, but a vast majority of women are like searching for their rocks and shit right now going, Peaches understands.
Yes. Grab your rose crystal.
Yes. So we kind of we scuba dived what you guys had issues with in the
You're
beginning. Snorkeling.
I like
No
that.
oxygen tank.
So what are some things that you guys have implemented with the long term? I mean, not the long term, the long distance, because there's quality time, physical touch. Those things are very
Oh,
hard
yeah.
to get.
Yeah, we video chat pretty much every night.
Yeah. You carve out a time for that? Like you guys set like 7 o'clock, we're going to be on the call?
No, it's basically whenever my kids go to sleep, and then when she's done with certain things at work. So it could vary anytime between probably 9 at night to like midnight.
Or even
Okay.
1
You know?
a.m.
Yeah, depends.
But we're staying up to make sure we get that phone call.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes we don't, and we don't, stress over it, but we do it when we can.
Because we're both tired, we're both busy.
Yeah.
It's like, babe, I'm
Yeah.
sorry I didn't call you. Like, no worries, I actually passed out.
Yeah, we
Okay,
were
cool.
texting throughout the whole day, anyways. But
Yeah, voice messages. Thank God for technology. That is the one upside I will say, because we both know it's rotted our children,
Yeah.
and made lazy parenting a thing. But it does help to send Charlie voice messages, audio messages, video messages, pictures. Sometimes he goes a whole day without sending me a photo, so then I get salty.
I would get salty too.
Like, are you gatekeeping your face from
Right,
me?
like
What's
how
going
dare
on?
you cock block me to your face?
Exactly. How the audacity, babe.
I was going to make a comment about how we're using communication for communication purposes, and that's obviously not the case anymore, as we're cock blocking each other with technology now.
Exactly. Yes.
Let me just print it out and mail it to you with a stamp.
You do that shit premeditated. Be like, I know I'm gonna be busy next week. This will get to her at some point during that time frame, and if I'm lucky, it'll happen on the day that I don't send her any dirty pictures.
Then you have a fight on that day, then she gets it. There's like picture of a cock. Like,
Too late, babe.
no, yeah.
Premeditated.
Yeah.
Just trying to make it so you'll talk to me again.
He sends me little things every now and then. I know I have my thing with flowers, babe. Little trinkets, just surprises to each other.
Yeah.
When we're not expecting or when we are expecting.
Yeah.
We kind of had a discussion on that. But, because again, when you live together and certain things that become so regular, but then you
Habitual.
live apart, you don't know what to do. Like, babe, you used to bring me lo mein. And I know you can't, and I'm not mad at that because that's impractical, but find something to do to replace that thing.
Yeah.
So we were like, babe, I was like, hint, they have Instacart, babe.
DoorDash.
So, we're trying to do that without breaking the bank.
Right.
Yeah. It's quite a bit more expensive to order something to be delivered than it is to just pick it up on my way home.
Yep. $40 more.
Yeah. So there's adjusting. I mean, we've been apart just as long as we've been together. And I think we're doing pretty well.
Yeah, it's been a year.
And I'm not I learned the other day that I'm not an introvert. I just don't like people.
You're the
'Cause-
Grinch.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I when I get to know somebody and I've like observed them at a distance for a little while and I'm comfortable having a conversation with them, I enjoy people. But as a whole, humanity is fucking stupid and I don't want to deal with them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It's kind of funny because both of our content when we were starting were very political. I had a separate family account, but she met me on my political one. And we talk about race issues all the time. And becoming an actual interracial relationship is completely different from online to in real life, you know? So my ex-wife is actually Asian and, you get a few things online every now and then, but in person, nobody ever said anything. And with her, it's almost the opposite. When we'd be in public, we'd even have people that would be like, oh my God, you guys are such a cute dynamic couple. Can I take a picture?
Yeah, it's so weird. I'm like, okay.
Just
That's-
walk up to you
that's
and say,
fucking
"Can we
weird."
take
Yeah.
your picture?"
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
were
too
at a coffee
stunned to
shop.
speak, literally. We were too stunned. So she took her photo and went. I was like, what was that?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You guys are such a dynamic couple. Let me take your picture without even speaking
He was
to
in
you.
cowboy hat.
I mean, they were
was in
really
my-
nice, but yeah,
It was interesting.
should have charged them $20.
Yeah.
Right?
If you're
Now,
gonna treat
next
me like
time,
a circus sideshow, you got to buy the ticket.
like, hey,
Right.
yep.
I'd be offended.
But-
We weren't.
Do you want me to keep my clothes on for the photo? Because if so, that's $100 more if they're coming off. Like,
Yeah.
and why would you want that on your phone? Hey, look
Right,
at this
that's so
strange
strange.
couple I met while walking down the street one day.
I think
That would
I'm
be-
used to it to some extent. I mean, when I landed in Georgia from Kenya, it was insane. Oh my God, let me take your photo. Where's your accent from? I felt like a freaking wild mammal.
You
An
nailed that,
exotic
by the
mammal.
way. I want to let you know, like,
Thank you.
You did very
Practicing
good.
for 10 years.
I noticed that when we edited her content
Yeah.
the first time that her like American accent
Yeah.
is spot on.
Really? It's
Yeah.
weird because I can't actually speak that way unless I'm mocking it.
you nail it.
Danke schön. So for me, it wasn't a weird reaction. I was just like, okay, I'm used to this. You're not used to it.
No, hell no. Who wants to take my
By the
picture?
time I realized what was going on, it was already done. I was like, crap, babe, we should have asked questions.
Yeah.
We didn't even get a copy of the photo. Like, oh, here it is.
Yeah.
I was like, I guess it's a weird Wisconsinite thing, I guess.
But online, it's
Oh,
quite the
online.
opposite,
Ay,
Right.
ay, ay.
But believe it or not, 99% of it is more hatred towards her being with a white guy
Yes.
than me being with
I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe that.
Why do you
Yeah.
think that is?
pride. So
Damn, you were quick with that. You put a lot of thought into this.
this is
Okay.
We met under this. In order for racism to exist, you have to have racial pride. Without racial pride, racism could not exist. Period.
Okay.
You have to have pride in race. And the race with the most pride in their race will have the most racists. And and compensation of power towards their race, and hatred towards other races. And I feel like when white pride was a thing, when it was, really pushed, especially in certain states, it would have been the opposite. Why are you with her?
Right.
But now it's kind of the script has
turned.
flipped.
Yeah.
And us as a society, we are promoting pride in everything. We're promoting you to be prideful in your race and your sexuality and your identity. We're Hitler used pride with the German people to separate themselves from the Jewish people.
Right.
It's a tool. It's an instrument. And it's exactly what we're doing in today's society. We're implementing you to be prideful in all these different aspects and watching you divide yourselves. And
You're black, so you're
I
special.
feel like there is, and especially in America, there is a lot more black pride than there is white pride.
Thank Obama for that one.
So we will have a lot more hatred towards her being with me than with me being towards.
It's
and
crazy.
all the hatred that we do get towards me being with somebody and creating an impure bloodline, which we're not pure anyways, are usually Europeans. Usually I'm getting people in Scandinavian countries commenting these things. It's rarely ever Americans.
So that's crazy that you would get that from Scandinavian countries because of the amount of immigration that they've got going on right now. Their bloodlines are going to be diluted in 10 years anyways.
Well, a lot of these countries are very homogenous. It's mostly white people in these countries.
Nah, in Scandinavia, not anymore. Sweden has got a major influx of Muslim immigrants.
But are they happy with
Norway?
it?
No, they're the government is happy with it. The
Yeah.
people that
The
are
people
there
are like,
Yeah,
nah.
the
absolutely
people
not.
So,
Because
but the people are the ones that are commenting.
right,
So the government is probably like, yeah, guys.
yeah, it's wild.
So you commented and said that if it were the other way around, if there was more pride in being white, you would receive a "Why are you with her?"
Yep.
We saw a lot of that during the Jim Crow era.
Yep.
There were white women, white men being disowned by their families because they were choosing their partner over dating in their race.
Right.
It's just, you're right, it's flipped now.
It's crazy.
History is repeating itself just in a different way.
Yeah, I saw something the other day that said that around 2012, the race thing started becoming an issue again. But like I'm an 80s baby, and like there was racism in the 80s and 90s, but it wasn't to the extent that it is now. And there's not like that mild racism because the people who were mildly racist just don't give a shit anymore. So it's in one extreme to the other.
Yep.
I don't know.
Society had to start implementing you to be prideful in your race again.
Yeah.
And using social media and the internet to spread the hate
Yeah.
and the rhetoric. Because most of these people who say these comments, they wouldn't say it to my face.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Calling
people are
me,
warriors.
the beautiful names like the coon and that. He always gets the pretty names. I get the ugly ones. He gets the translucent tree frog,
Oh, that is kind
the
of
ranch
nice.
rooster. It sounds like a rock band.
Yeah, I would rather look like a raccoon than a tree frog. I don't know, especially a translucent one.
Powder Rangers are pretty cool. And
What is it?
Powder Ranger.
Okay.
Power Ranger, but Powder Ranger.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was a white Power Ranger.
They're literally all poetic. There's alliteration put in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just sell out Uncle Tom, this and that. And then I had to, again, I'm an immigrant. So I didn't even know who Uncle Tom was.
Right.
So when they called me Uncle Tom, I was like, what does that even mean? Like, I know you're trying to be mean to me, but what are you trying to say? So I found out that conservatives would look like me saying, I was like, oh, that's who that is. I was like, that's not a bad thing. Or Candace Owens wannabe.
Yeah.
That made me want to look her up. And I did. I was like, I like her.
Yeah.
So thanks.
right.
So, so I'm like, thank you for introducing me to someone amazing.
Yeah.
But that's all they can come up with because they can't debate on an ideological stance. They have to go to,
Yeah.
Name calling.
and it's mostly because, I like white men and the white taliwaka.
Yeah. Or when
That stand me
yeah.
conservative. It's
Yeah.
a very powerful one. Wow.
I got nothing. That just all train of thought just derailed with the whole white tallywhacker.
I didn't know what a taliwaka was. He had to tell me. I was like, babe, what now?
she's like, oh.
Oh,
It's funny.
okay.
But yeah, a lot of times in her comments, she'll get, well, look at your viewer base. That
Look at
explain-
who's commenting.
Yeah, look at who's commenting. Look who's liking your videos. Meaning it's mostly white
so
people.
tap dancing for the white people, yeah.
Exactly. It's like, do you realize how condescending that is? If you think about it this way, every single election, white people are divided 50-50. The whole idea that white people think a certain way and that's why they're all liking your video means nothing.
It's a fallacy, yeah.
We all have different mindsets. We don't think with our skin, obviously. So for you to
hopefully.
think that is a very racist thing. That's no different than saying, well, you're black, so you must be a criminal. You must be, a thief. You're creating this stereotype
Right.
based off of people's skin color instead of asking them what their actual beliefs or ideas are.
Unless you're Biden. Then you can
Yes.
just go ahead and
Yeah.
say if you're not black, you're gonna have
Then
to
you're
vote
not,
Republican.
don't vote
you're
for
not
him, you're
for
not
me.
black.
Yeah,
Yep.
you have to be a Democrat if you're
Yep.
black, according to Biden.
That's what they want. That's what the KKK was founded under. It was when black people were being freed, they were going to start voting Republican because the Republicans are ones that freed them. They're like, we need to stop this. We need to create some kind of group that can
Yep.
stop the Republican Party.
And they're still doing it.
I mean, a lot of Republicans over time became KKK members, but it was more about the mindset. In the beginning, it wasn't founded under that idea.
Politics.
Yeah.
That's how
So
we met.
I noticed that you have a tattoo on your face, and I feel like I can relate to you on a different level now. Right? Like we have a newfound. There's a new level of I don't give a fuck about anything when you tattoo your face.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's actually concerned about it at the beginning.
Yeah, I actually never had a tattoo until I met her.
I
Yeah.
ruined him. Yeah.
And how many you got now?
2.
I have one. It's just not done yet.
Nice. Still some coverage to cover, but
Yeah.
it's just the one.
Yeah.
So
Oh, babe. But I also did it safely because it's on the sideburn. And it's also where I part my hair. So if I want to hide it, I just,
would you believe me if I told you I don't even see her tattoos?
That's what he says, and I don't even know what it means.
I do believe that because I don't see mine unless somebody brings them up.
Yeah. Like when I look at her, like you could tell me, oh, she's tattooed. Like, oh yeah. Like I totally forget. Like it doesn't even,
Yeah.
I just, it's almost like I see her aura more than I see her.
I was about to say, you see her soul more
Yeah.
than you see her physical being.
Yep.
I get that.
I think I mean I appreciate both of those thought processes. I think it's just that you're so used to seeing her that it's just not a thought process.
Your eyes are just choosing to ignore the tattoos.
I do
at this
because
point.
I have red gloves that I wear when I ride my dirt bikes, and every GoPro video, that's all I can focus on is my hands because I'm wearing red gloves and I can't see my tattoos. And I'm like, oh, look at them red gloves. I really like those gloves. And we were talking about this the other day, and then after I wore the gloves for 10 hours and I took my gloves off and I could see the tattoos on my hand, I was like, oh shit, I got tattoos in my hand. Like, but it's one of those things that you don't think of because you see yourself every day or you
Same
you
with
see her all
yeah.
the time.
I mean, I still look at them like, yes. But half the time, there.
Do you actually do that out loud?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking. I wasn't sure if it was
good. I'm like,
like an
what?
internal yes or an external yes.
Oh, no, it's an external, yes.
Okay.
It's one of those hype myself up in the mirror type thing.
As you should.
Right?
Yeah, I smack my own ass sometimes. Get the day going.
It's a different level of self-love. Get it, babe.
Chris just walks in.
Yeah, all the time. Every opportunity I get.
Me next,
Oh, baby.
Yeah, I can just imagine. The look I would give you would be like, okay, I mean,
Is there something happening
Yeah.
right now? Oh, man.
Is that like, oh man, my brain just went to like you're driving and you're falling asleep and you're like, psh, wake up, psh, wake
Yeah.
up.
Me?
Yeah, you're like, psh, get your ass in gear. Like,
So no, it's really like it's on days where I'm like, oh god, I'm fucking gross. Like, oh, I can see the cellulite on my thighs, and I'll turn around, look at my back, and be like, well, that's not too bad.
See?
And then I'll be like, my man likes looking at me, and it's like let's fucking do this.
Yes.
Go show up for daddy.
Get it together.
Right.
that's funny.
Yeah.
Is this why you close the bathroom door when you get ready every morning?
Sometimes,
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
And it's that, and so you don't see me shaving my face.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Keeping the romance alive.
So you'll fart in front of me, but
That's
I can't see
something
you
we
just-
do not do.
No.
No. There's some things, they're between you and the Lord in the toilet. Even my son, but I'm the same way. I'm like, Baba, what do we do when you need to toot? We excuse ourselves. Sometimes we're eating, he's like, excuse me. He dashes away. I'm like, why are you going? Mom. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotta go toot.
You gotta go toot in private. Then there's some accidental ones will happen. But I have never tooted in front of you. Right, babe?
not that I've noticed.
Wow.
Wait, what do you have to add to that part? Because I'm like, I only poop fairies, babe. We don't need to do that.
Our daughter would give you a heart attack. She farts and then
No
waves
shame.
it behind her butt. She takes her hand and goes, "Excuse me," and just carries about her day.
Wave it away.
Yeah.
Maybe a cultural thing. So where I come from, so in Kenya we have, so I noticed it's so, and I know this is not relationship specific, but it's such a conflicting cultural aspect. back in Africa, we're very private when it comes to certain things, bodily functions, toilet things, and sex, which again are too hidden. We know it happens, just don't talk about it. Here, it's way out there. People talk about sex like they're going to go and buy oranges. No, I'm going to go do a number 2. Why are you telling me that? I do not need to know that you say, excuse me, I need to go to use the bathroom.
I gotta use the restroom.
You know, that's if you need to go specific, say long call or short call. If you have to go too detailed, you know. But here it's just, and I had to get used to that. I was like, why do you, oh God.
Very crash over here.
Yeah, we
Yes, back home sex taboo.
Crass.
Everything taboo.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's very crass. Exactly. Think about the Asian culture. Same way they are about, they take their shoes off when they get the house. Same thing in Africa. Don't talk about the sex unless you are having it.
Yeah, I think that's one thing where we kind of, we're very similar. Like I said, my ex-wife was Asian. And for the last 20 some years, I've been watching just Asian shows. Like I never watched American shows. They're very, very innocent. You know, like I can't watch a lot of American shows.
Yeah, he likes the Korean.
Yeah, you know, they're very. We watch Love Is Blind.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever watched that show?
Oh.
You know, there are people who meet in pods, and then they have to propose before they ever actually see each other face to face.
Yep.
So you have to kind of get to know the person. And the American show is so raunchy. It's very
Oh
sex
my
oriented.
God, sex off the bat.
Yeah, and we watched
First
the
conversation, sex. Oh, so how do you like it?
That explains a
Yeah.
lot.
Wait, so wait, they live in pods?
They stay men in one I don't know some
Area,
kind of area,
yes.
and then women in their own.
Yeah.
But then they meet in this like almost like a blind dating, and they go from one pod to the next, and they talk to
Right.
these women and try and find women that most match with them, and they'll keep meeting with them until they finally find the one. They're like, oh my God, like you're perfect. I want to marry you.
Right.
And then they have to propose and
Well-
be engaged before they even meet each other. Then they first meet each other, and they have to live with each other for like a month. Because they go on their honeymoon together and everything, and then when they get to the altar, they either have to say I do or I don't.
Yep.
And we watched the American one, the Japanese one, and the Brazilian one, and all three of them culturally they're completely different.
different.
The Japanese one's very, very innocent
Vanilla.
and sweet. Yeah. The Brazilian one's kind of in between, but I think the Brazilian one's more Christian oriented. Like,
Yep.
it's just more about the
Religion plays
respect
a
of your
huge
parents
role.
and everything.
Yep.
They have to honor the marriage, and a lot of them don't because they're like, you just met this guy and it's some kind of weird show.
Right.
But then the American one, it's almost like, I don't
Oh
really care what
my
my parents
gosh.
think. And I
Yep.
just, ooh, I
They're
just
having
wanna-
sex on the first night. The Japanese one, I think they would even separate beds. For a few
do.
days. Because
Yeah.
they're like,
Yeah.
just that's not our thing. So it's same concept. So it's
So-
really a culture shock.
So yeah, her culture, then the way they are coming, and what I kind of grew up and enjoy, we
They're
kind of,
very similar.
we met on that,
Like it's simple.
So, in your culture, is it almost like shunned or like you're shamed if you talk about those kinds of things?
Oh,
Are there
yeah.
healthy discussions
Big
about any
time.
of it?
No, and now that's the downside. It's almost like an extreme
Right.
aspect. It's like don't talk about it in certain areas, but at certain times, at a certain age, yes.
Right.
Growing up, all I knew about sex was wait until marriage. That was the end of that discussion. That was it. So it was trial and error, making stupid mistakes. I could have been avoided had I had more information.
Right.
But no one was going to talk to you. Who was going to talk to you about it? An aunt, maybe a cousin. But even they're also misinformed because they're going off of their peers.
Right.
So that's, yeah. Maybe now things are changing. I think things are changing slowly in Kenya. Even the gender roles are changing. But when I grew up, it was, and I grew up in a very strict Christian home.
A lot of Africa is like that. You have the Muslim Christian, a lot of Indians.
Yep. We're mostly conservative. Yep.
Yeah, a lot of Christians, and they're very, very strong in their faith.
Oh, yeah.
Here we're
So it's
just
marriage. Sex equals marriage.
Yeah.
Before then, you don't
So-
take anyone home unless they're intending to marry you. So this whole thing, I was telling my husband here, this whole thing where, oh, mommy, meet my boyfriend. No,
Right.
not unless he wants to lose his nuts. He wants to lose them, he can come over. Because why you bring me a boyfriend? All you're telling me is I'm hanging out with this guy and making out with him.
Right.
Probably dry humping
Making bad decisions.
at the least. Yeah. Making bad decisions. I don't want to meet him. He has no respect. No. Unless he's serious about you, tell him to stay away. I have a lot of weapons I could use on him.
Yeah.
You know?
She even kind of gave me the warning before I went and met her parents. No PDA, no kissing, no holding hands. It's
Ironically, we actually did
disrespectful.
that in front of my mom.
We did, yeah, but she told me not to.
But she didn't mind. She was just like,
Yeah.
I think she was just watching me and looking at me because obviously I was married before and she could see the difference. And she didn't mind because of that. She's like, so my girl is in love. Okay, don't do that on the road. Don't do that in public though. Mom, relax. She's like, no, we're in Kenya right now. So, okay.
So she sat on my lap when we were on the tuk-tuks,
No, just like, it's not tuk-tuk, maybe it's tuk-tuk.
My bad, tuk-tuk.
You know what a tuk-tuk is?
Tuk tuk.
It's
It's like a motorcycle with 2 wheels in the back.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
those are super popular.
Gotcha.
In
I mean, that makes
Mombasa.
sense.
Yeah,
It would be.
it's cheaper. Go through
We got-
traffic.
So I saw, they have little like 125 motorcycles, and they're kind of like the taxis. They take you everywhere. Well, I could show you the video later, but there was a guy with like 4 other people on it. It was 5 people on this little 125. There was a
Yep.
baby, like the whole family was there.
Yep.
So she wants to go over because it's cheap to take the motorcycles. So we found a guy, there's a little depot area where they all kind of hang out. And she's like, oh, can you both take us into the market? She hops on, I hop on. I was like, no. I had to get my own. I'm like,
It's like, it's too heavy.
That's funny.
I was like, I just saw somebody with 5 people on their bike.
They were all light, babe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of a wake up call. Like, man, I should probably lose some weight.
No, baby, he's a big guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the muscle.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with being a big dude.
No, I like my big guy.
Oh, something about the thighs.
That's what she
Right?
says.
I'm like, babe.
Oh.
See, baby, see, it's a thing.
He was underneath the van yesterday. He was putting stuff, doing man shit. And I walk out there, and he has his knees propped up, and his basketball shorts slid down a little bit, and I'm seeing that thigh, and I was like, "You hussy!"
Like, ooh.
Out here like a buffet for me.
Screaming and cussing, pissed off being underneath of a van.
Personal OnlyFans.
She's like, "Do you need anything? Can I get you something?"
I was, yeah.
Does she have a problem with the type of pants that you wear if it's too revealing in certain areas?
No.
He can't wear sweatpants in public.
Sweatpants.
That's what I'm talking about.
Sweatpants are the only thing. But
They're called cock pants, babe.
she wants me to wear PT shorts
Oh,
everywhere I go. So I can wear PT shorts that are 3 inches, like the 70s. You ever watch Heartbreak Ridge? Okay. She wants me to, for those of you who've seen it, she wants me to run around looking like Swede with no shirt on and some fucking PT shorts that are 3 inches tall.
But the cock pants
But
are
the gray sweatpants don't work. So it's okay if my balls slip out the side of the pant leg, but I can't wear the sweats.
Oh, he's
different, yeah.
forbidden.
Yeah, we went to the gym yesterday, and I have some clothes here. I'm trying to bring more every time I come.
Yeah.
So I have this pair of shorts that probably knee high height, but they're revealing. And she's like, "Do you have anything?" And I'm like, "These are the only thing I have to go to the gym." So I had to wear a fanny pack, loose, hanging in front of me,
I was like, excuse me, sir.
bright orange fanny pack, just
Correct.
totally clashing with everything I have.
And now it's drawing attention to
Yeah,
it.
now it's drawing attention to
Yeah.
it.
But there's nothing to see except a fanny pack. So
correct.
you're welcome, babe.
It's like dick in a box, but it's dick
I
in a
was
fanny
just
pack.
going to say, you could just kind of hold it. She could stick her hand in there. You guys could hold hands in public.
Babe, can you get my phone out of my fanny pack for me, please?
It's like a bucket of popcorn in the movie theater.
So romantic.
But it's those boundaries in relationships,
Yep.
which took us a long time. I don't know if it was the pride aspect or it was your lack of explaining properly, babe. When we finally got together, I was like, oh, that's what you were trying to say. Remember how long that took?
Yeah, 2 years?
Because he met me now. I've always been modeling, a tattoo model, and I have
Yeah.
of these pictures. But it was like him trying to say, oh, these specific ones, I feel a certain way about. I'm like, why? Like, what do you want me to do? I was like, I don't show my nipples, babe. It's like, that's not what I'm talking about. Then be more clear. And it just wasn't coming out because I'm not the person who's going to go posing in a cleavage. Because again, I'm not trying to show my body. I'm trying to show my tattoos. So I'll take every aspect and try to hide the private parts, but show the tattoo at the same time.
There are things on a woman's body that a man looks at that are not typical
Sexual.
genital stuff, right? Like
Right.
side boob or under boob is way hotter than a nipple. Or like the
See?
under ass cleavage.
See, I don't get that. I'm like,
Yep.
to me, the nip is like, well, that's me as I walk around naked.
Yeah.
In my head, in my woman brain.
But to
Right.
her,
But for you
having a-
guys,
yeah, go
it
ahead.
was the side boob, the under the boob. I was like, that's really?
Yeah.
I think there's a nipple's a play object in bed. Everything else is intimate, right? So like
So
when
that's interesting. Yeah, that's it.
maybe that's just a me thing.
No, it's not.
Mm.
Yeah.
But the other
I mean, it kinda
facets,
leads-
like if she wears boy shorts and I get to see the underbutt cleavage, she could be wearing anything on the top, and that's my focal point. It is that's mine, something that only I get to see. So
Right.
like, even though she does have tattoos there, if she wanted to show those things off, I would feel the same way. There'd be
Yeah.
certain things that I just wouldn't be okay with.
Yeah, we had a hard time getting through that, because then she'd say, well, I'm a tattoo model. I'm trying to show off my tattoos. It's like, well, just because you got tattoos in those areas doesn't mean that all of a sudden makes it okay, and trying to relay this going back and forth.
Without making it a control thing.
Yeah,
Because
because
I have some trauma from.
as soon as you bring
can't
it up,
do
a
that,
wall
you
goes
can't
up,
do that.
and then, and it'll go back and forth. One wall goes up, next person's wall goes up.
Yep.
Nobody wants to be hurt. Nobody wants to feel that pain, and
It took the cock pants conversation.
yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what it took for you to understand what she was getting at, or for you guys
For
to
her to
understand each
understand
other?
that.
For me to understand what he was getting at. I was like, oh, okay, I see.
Yep. It
Okay,
always,
babe.
in order to have a successful relationship, whenever there's confrontation, one person has to submit in order for that conversation to
Right.
be fixed. And that's the issue that we've had is we've always had confrontation, and one of us has to submit first for the other person to lower their walls to understand.
Yep.
You know, and I feel like we've learned that a lot quicker in most relationships, you know, because it's just that I was never good at communicating to her. I could never relate to her how I felt or explain it in a way that she would understand.
Right.
You know, a lot of women say, you need to tell me how you feel. And a lot of guys are like, well, that's irrelevant. It doesn't matter how I feel. But that's
And
the
that's a
language that
mistake.
they understand.
It's when you do this, I feel this.
Yeah.
With a guy, it's you disrespected me. I'm like, no, I didn't. But you did by doing this. Yeah, to you.
Right. That's your perception.
That's your
of it.
perception. Mine, I didn't because I did this and this measures to cover that. So again, the modeling thing. I was like, babe, but I even said I'd work with a female photographer if I do a nude shoot. Are you not seeing? I'm compromising. It's like, that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
It was
we
just
totally different things. You know?
Yeah.
I was so frustrated. I was like, babe, I even wear nipple pasties. And he's like, that's not what I'm talking about. I was like, I don't know what you want. So finally, the cock pants conversation came up. He was like, I was like, that's what you. Only took 2 years. But, yeah.
Was the term disrespected actually used in those conversations? Did you feel
I said I feel
disrespected?
disrespect.
Oh,
really.
yeah.
I
Was
said,
that the actual feeling?
yes.
Okay.
Because in my perspective, my perspective, I was telling her what I liked or what I didn't like or my boundaries, and she was still willing to
wasn't.
do it.
Okay.
So I felt disrespected. But
That makes
the problem was is she didn't understand my boundaries. You know, it wasn't that clear communication. It was trying to get over that.
And then there was a passive aggression, little snide comments instead of. No, so then I would get even more angry. Like, oh, you don't want me to post that? Watch me, bitch.
Yep. the spike.
Again, clashing.
Yeah.
So
It
you
just
get-
makes it worse, you know. We kept going back and forth.
It does. So,
So, yeah.
yeah, claimed some.
It's good that you're able to recognize and actually be able to articulate why the disrespect was there, because when I hear people say that you're just disrespecting me, like I think a lot of the time that term is being used because they can't think of what's actually bothering them, and they're using that as an anger thing.
One of the things I said, which I'm sure is really common, is you're acting like you're single.
Yeah. Oh my god.
You know?
Oh my god.
She didn't understand what I meant.
Don't trigger
but
me
that
right
was
now,
but that
babe.
was the only way I knew how to explain it because
That convo.
yeah.
Hey.
I've had a lot of growth because of her. I've never dealt with any kind of communication in relationships to understanding. I've never actually been in a relationship that has been
Worth it.
or meaningful to
you.
the point, you know. So
It's a good way to put that.
yeah, so I've had to fight and go through a process of self-evaluation to realize if I change this, maybe it will also change this. Instead of saying because we're usually really selfish when we come to these things. You hurt me and you focus on that internal pain.
And then you
right?
also
You
hurt
know?
me though.
Yeah, and then they focus on their internal pain, and then you're never going to come to the resolution because you're more worried about you being hurt than them being hurt. And if you can try and find ways to maybe change something that you do or a way that you do things, they'll lower their walls.
And also
you know?
validation.
You know,
You know, like-
it's submissiveness.
Yeah, it is. The validation aspect. It's, I'm sorry I hurt you. Instead of, but then you also hurt me, but then you also did the thing. And it's like, no, it's like a game or a competition and it goes nowhere.
you
And
hurt me.
validating doesn't mean you agree. Because I'm like, honestly, I wasn't trying to hurt you, which obviously you're not because you're not a psychopath, right? But you did hurt me and I need to validate that you were hurt. So what can we do going forward to avoid that situation again?
Do you think that that's actually submitting, or do you think that's accepting the fact that your person's not out to be malicious to you? Because we have this is the healthiest relationship I've ever had in my entire life, right? And there has been a handful of times at most where I felt like she was attacking me, and like I would get defensive, and then we would have a discussion about it. But I know that she's not trying to attack me. I know that's not a thing. If she's coming to me with something, I know it's because she's feeling a certain way about it. So when she brings something to me and I feel the need to get defensive, that's a self-defense mechanism. It's a trauma response. And I know that. It's pride, right? And I know that, well, I didn't, well, you did that, you know, so we don't do that anymore. So normally when things come about now, I'm always, well, where did that come from? Why do you feel that way? And I don't feel the need to defend myself as much because I don't think that oh man, that sounds really arrogant. I don't think I do wrong anymore, right? Because like I'm very conscious of my decision making and the way that I handle things, and I put her as a priority over self. So that way I know that if something's going on, it's not really something I did. So it removes the need to submit in that aspect.
When I say submit, I mean you're putting your pride aside.
Okay.
It means you're not. It means you're allowing yourself to be hurt in the process of obtaining what you need to obtain.
You're letting yourself sit in the discomfort. So Jimmy, oh God, what is his name? He's a coach. He's a coach on TikTok. I love his content, and he's gone through a lot of growth as well. He cheated in his relationship, almost ended the marriage, and he's had to do all this stuff, read all the books, do all the counseling, and he talked about it's that vulnerability aspect and that submission aspect. I think he's talking about it's the willingness to sit in the discomfort of knowing you hurt your partner and listening to them telling you how you hurt them, but also just not feeling the need to jump on it. You just sit there and be uncomfortable. We've had to do that.
Almost like you're not even existent in this conversation anymore.
Right.
You will not focus on your pain at all to fully understand theirs.
Right.
Because that's always the well, you were hurt, but yes, so was I. You need to also focus on me at the same time. You can't.
Right.
No.
One person has to completely focus on the other
Swallow
in
their
order for it to
pride
come back
and-
the other way
yep.
around.
I see.
That's what I mean by submit. It's you have to get rid of your pride. One of you has to get rid of your pride for that conversation to even begin, for
Yep.
the healing to happen.
That's a very good way to put that. I wrote that down. I'm stealing that.
Okay.
Yeah. Pride is setting aside your ego. Submitting is setting aside your ego. I wrote down pride.
Yeah,
'Cause
without
that's what
pride,
you
ego
said.
would not exist as well.
Yep.
True. Yep.
That's kind of how we met. I made a video talking about BLM and why I don't support it.
Oh, that one was a hit.
Yeah, so many haters.
On both ways.
And I said it's because I was very anti-pride. We even have slogans we sell on T-shirts about being anti-pride. And I was saying that any group that starts, whether it's the LGBT, BLM, the feminist movement, all of them are run on pride. And any group that is run on pride will do the exact opposite of what they're trying to promote because it's a compensation method. It's a defense mechanism. And if you basically, pride can only exist where confidence or love lacks. If you are completely confident, there can be no pride.
Right.
Ever. If Chris walks every day. I mean, you're not proud of him that he walks. He's doing it all the time. There is zero worry because you have 100% confidence in him. If he gets into a car accident and they tell him you may never walk again, you're not going to hold pride in his ability to walk until he starts doing it again.
I was like,
Because
oh
you
my
have-
gosh, you're doing it.
Because you had doubt.
And you're proud of them. Yeah.
You're not proud of your kid being able to accomplish something unless you had doubt. Wow, you did this. It's that wow factor. That's where pride exists. Without pride, you would have complete confidence. You would have complete love.
You'd self-validation. You would need others to validate your existence.
This is one of the many reasons why I'm Christian. It's because when Satan stood up to stand against God, he was prideful. That was the root of all sin. Every murder, theft, everything could not exist without pride. None of those could exist without pride. But they all, they cannot stem from love. So you have one or the other. Pride stunts growth. You can't put things aside in order to grow, to learn.
Ego kills talent.
Yep.
It's we've sold shirts both at the tattoo shop and on the podcast, and we actually still have ego kills talent stickers. So on the religion aspect, Christianity, a big point of that is supposed to be humility.
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
a big part of Jesus' teaching is that you're supposed to be humble. And it's funny that you equated that to Satan's fall being from pride. The humility thing goes a long way for me. I know a lot of people who are the type of tattoo artists that can do anything from memory. They don't need a reference. They can just sit down and draw it. And they could be people who make ridiculous money, could travel the world, have that lifestyle, but they get too caught up in who they are and their name versus their actual ability. They don't practice. They don't go above and beyond. They sit there and expect people to just come to them because of who they are instead of actually doing the work. And that's where that came from for me. But when I made that shirt the first time, kind of as a fuck you to people, because I watched a lot of people get hooked on drugs and destroy their career or start to think that they were just going to tattoo what they wanted, not what the client wanted, not realizing that it's still a job. And that's a very different conversation in itself. But I made that, and when I made that, I started doing research on the ego and what the id is and the way that we have our primitive brain versus, our cognitive thinking. And I'm really, really big on that humility thing. And when you accept that you are flawed and you are not perfect, having humility is very easy to do because when somebody's like, you did that, you're like, I probably did. And
Yes.
I can work on not doing that again. It's the best I got for you.
That.
Yeah. So self love is when nobody else's perception of you can hurt you, only your own can, right? Pride is the consciousness of your dignity, and your dignity is the amount of respect that you demand from other people. And if you demand respect or anything from anybody else, that means you need validation from them. So pride is the need of validation from other people in order for you to be happy. That means you don't feel complete. Pride is a compensation for love lacking. And that's why these groups like the LGBT, you get the trans group and just the whole gay pride
Alphabet
movement,
Mafia.
they need you to validate them in where they
Yes.
feel like they don't fully feel a certain way. And if you don't, that's what
Then
hurts them. They don't have that
phobic.
self-love. Otherwise, you wouldn't hurt them when you
Right.
said, I don't truly believe you are this.
Right.
You
Or if
know?
you say, I don't support gay marriage. Oh, then you hate me. No, it has nothing to do with you. It's my belief.
It's the fact that you need other people to validate you.
Right. Why do you need me to validate you? Why do you need me to agree with everything you think? To feel seen. That's a you problem.
And often what happens with this, like the BLM movement and stuff, is there's a superiority complex that is a lot of Black American kids are growing up to believing that they're lesser than, that America's not going to like you
The
because
police are
because
going to
it's taught in
shoot you
schools.
dead.
exactly more than schools, their parents, their
Even
families.
it starts at home.
Yeah. If you're taught as a child that you can never be, you will always be lesser than no matter what you do. You can't change that. You're going to always have this feeling of inferiority. But then in order for you to compensate for that, to actually love yourself, you have to develop a superiority complex.
Yep.
When deep down inside you actually feel inferior. But you have to convince yourself that no, actually I'm superior. This part about me isn't bad. There's a hole you need to fill. So you get empowerment from other people to fulfill that hole. That's where the validation comes in. That's your pride. So now you have people who black is power, white is power. These are people who have superiority complexes because deep down inside they actually feel inferior, and they're compensating for that. Because in reality, we really wouldn't care. We would treat anybody the same as what we want to be treated. There would be that dignity. But we go beyond that dignity because we actually feel lesser. This is why bullies bully.
Right.
Exactly. They're lacking something, the sense of self, and so they take it out on others.
They're hurt in some way, and they try to fulfill that, so they have some kind of superiority complex, and I can overpower you in this
To give
way
myself
to
that
give myself that
empowerment.
fulfillment.
Yeah.
Well, on the pride and the superiority, not on the bullying, because I've seen, not on the bullying. Removing the bullying from what you were just saying, do you think that the Black communities would be different, or the African American communities, whatever you want to call that, as you put it, the
Chocolate people.
yeah, from the last episode. Do you think that if there were more fathers present in the home, that would be a different conversation?
Absolutely.
Why?
Well, actually, I think I watched a video of you saying you came up from poor.
I did.
All right, so you might be able to relate to this because I did as well. When we grow up from being poor, what was one of the things that we try to do to compensate for being poor?
We show off.
We show off.
Look at my new.
We
look at my new
buy
shoes.
expensive things.
Yeah,
we buy
absolutely.
name brand things. We buy expensive name brand cars. We compensate for where we are lacking. And a father figure can teach you, in my opinion, a father would teach you a different perspective than the mother. I always said that having a mother and a father in the home is great because you don't just get one perspective of problem solving, how to change things, how to view things. You have two different perspectives from two different people who walk different roads in life. Mom can teach you how to problem solve here. Dad can teach you how to problem solve there in a completely different way. You're going to take the one that works better, and you're going to be able to learn. Learning from two is always better than learning from one. But seeing a mother or a father, depending on where the power struggle is in a relationship, like our children, will see the mother submitting to the father or the father submitting to the mother, to whoever's better in whatever area. And they're going to learn submission is good.
Right.
When I needed to learn, I need to submit, in order to better myself. In religious aspects, the father or the mother submit to God, and they can see that you don't need to be the boss. You don't need to be the all-powerful, I need to be better than.
Right.
It's okay to not be better than. It's okay to have humility and to allow other people to be better if they are better, because you can learn from that, you can grow from that. And seeing relationships where a lot of these relationships, especially with the feminist movement, there's this whole power struggle on woman pride. We can do this without a man.
We don't need a man.
It's that superiority complex.
Yep.
You really aren't better than, and you're not worse than. But in order to feel complete, you have to try and come up with a way to understand why you don't have somebody who wants to be with you. You know, it's because they can't handle me. You know,
Independent woman.
yeah, you know, it's always a compensation for where, and you're never going to see your own faults that way. You're never going to take a step down and be humble and be like, wow, you know, I should probably change this, and maybe a guy would like me more. But it's always, you can't handle me, you can't keep up with me. You know,
Yeah, that video you just stitched of the lady. A comment section when I was like, oh,
That-
hey, some aloe vera for the burn.
That superiority complex where women are in the feminist nonsense and they're trying to move into the male dominated workplace. When they are focused on trying to be in their masculine like that, if they do that long enough, eventually they destroy any sense of self. And if they are in a successful relationship, that relationship will fail because they're going to modify their personality type for a work environment.
Yep.
And it will absolutely destroy the home environment because it's
Oh,
hard
yeah.
to turn that off. You know?
That's how my first marriage fell apart.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, thank you, baby.
I cannot wait until you get a podcast, dude.
yeah.
I'm enjoying this.
I don't know if
He's
my,
amazing.
yeah, I don't know if my brothers. I have these conversations with my brothers all the time. My brother fights me on the whole pride argument. He thinks
Yeah.
pride is good. Pride is it's harmless until it's in the spirit of competition. You can be proud of something and it's fine until something else comes along.
There's pride and
Just
prideful.
unplug something.
Babe, you
Yes.
ruined the
Sorry.
leaves.
You know, until something comes along that pushes against your pride, then it's competition, and then it becomes bad because that's when you stop your progress and you worry more about hurting the other person. You know, like if you build like a house out of sticks or something like that, like a little show thing, and you're proud, you're like, oh my God, like I actually doubted I could do this and I did this. I'm proud of this. And then somebody else comes along with a house that looks better and you're like, yeah, well, mine's cooler than yours. Your pride's hurt.
Right.
Now it's a competition. Now you start picking little things apart on their project that are not
make
as good as
yourself feel
yours to make
better.
yourself feel better. And where's the growth in that? If you were humble about it, be like, man, I should learn from this. But instead you're downplaying it. You're saying, you know what, that sucks. It's not that it sucks. It's actually better than yours, but you're going to convince yourself that it sucks because it makes you feel better because it hurts your pride.
So what do you say to the people who see that the better house and go, okay, this stick thing sucks, and if they've got a house made out of block, I'm going pure concrete, and they build a new house and it's better than the other person? Because that would be the argument for pride being good, because it makes people push to
Yeah.
be better, and
Right,
there could
but
be
if it's
growth
done in
that.
a vengeful way. Is that really growth, or is that just doing something out of spite?
I mean, I've done a lot of things in life out of spite, and it's gotten me
And
where I am.
it was actually, I saw it with Chris on this one day.
Yeah,
I see what he's saying.
I am that guy that's lived my entire life off of when you've said I can't do something, fucking watch me.
Right, but did you do that with malice in your heart?
Yes.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Whatever drives you.
And it's worked for me because I have a lot of people that I want to show wrong. Like, and that is
Right.
pride, because I've had a lot of people doubt me, and I've had a lot of people try to hold me back in the crab in the bucket thing. Like, you know, and being told that, you know, you're going to be a drug addict, or you're going to be in prison, or you're too fucking stupid to do this. And like, you know, just, I've heard all of it, and I heard it all my entire life. So every time somebody was like, you're not good enough for this, go ahead. You good?
I burped, sorry.
I was told numerous times that I would never make it as an artist.
And you made sure you did.
And now I own a shop that was rated number 3 in the state, or I'm sorry, number 1 in the state 3 times. And like, I have 3 awards under my belt as a tattoo artist. Like but that was all out of spite. I could have taken that and been like, no, they're right. I'm not good enough. And that would have been,
Yeah.
you know, my downfall. I could have just been stagnant and never progressed or moved forward because other people didn't believe in me.
Well, here's a question for you.
The driving
If
thing.
yeah,
That one.
what's that?
The driving thing. You say I'm prideful on the road, so I'm honking at people.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
it's because I'm better than
Well,
them.
if you take something and you basically compete to you're proving your worth, right? That is showing that you need other people to see it. That means you're not happy with yourself yet. It means that I'm okay with being who I am. You constantly are trying to drive. Tate just had a podcast about this, and he was talking about how he wants to make more money. He wants to make more money. He can't tell you why he wants to make more money, why he wants to build his business, but he wants to show the world that he can. It's like, at what point are you going to finally be happy with yourself? At what point is there going to be a stop to this and being like, you know what am I doing this for? Who am I really trying to prove this to? You know? And I think that's the part that a lot of people don't find happiness in themselves because they can't be humble about who they are. You could look at that project and you could say, wow, that's amazing. I would love to do that as well, you know, and maybe I can come up with better ways. Or you could take it and being like, I'll show you. And then where do you stop showing them?
You don't.
You know?
You just keep leveling up.
Yeah. So in competition, especially in capitalism, I love capitalism. It can be a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, you get technology, you get growth out of it.
Yep.
You know, but there's a lot lost in the same breath.
Yeah, I agree with the loss there is, and there's a lot of loss in self in that, and that falls back into what I was saying a minute ago about a woman who's super inner feminine getting into a masculine work environment and becoming more masculine and destroying her life, and I can understand that. I for the record, I actually dislike Andrew Tate, like strongly dislike.
I agree with
Tate.
him on very few.
Right.
I disagree with him a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I have agreed with him on points on the podcast and on TikTok, and people are like, oh, he's a Tate fan. I'm like, you guys just don't
Yeah.
fucking listen.
No,
You found your one thing to like pull apart, and but that, so I understand that too, though. Like if you in what you were saying, that if you don't like yourself and you're always looking for that next thing, you're basically, it's no different than somebody chasing a dopamine response.
Compensation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lot to process.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does that to you.
Yeah. I'm still hung up on like the superiority and races and whatnot.
You know, actually, you brought up feminism. One of the things I find funny about feminism is this willingness to try and show the men that you can be just as good as them, but they've done the complete opposite. And there's a reason why. It's because they're trying to compete with men in areas where they can't compete with men. And in doing so, what they're doing is they're taking the worst parts of men and they're adopting that for themselves. You know, like
Right.
instead of saying, men, you shouldn't sleep around and cheat. That's
I want to do the
bad.
same thing.
You know, we should show you how you should be, and only accept men that don't do this. Right. And then those of you that do aren't going to find good women. They say, I'm going to adopt that. I want to be just like that. You know, I'm going to sleep around and cheat because that's what men do.
Right.
You know, and that's that compensation where it's just like you're
And
doing.
it's just a lose-lose.
Yeah, and that's why feminism has really drawn women down. It's really brought them down. Women wanted to become equal in the things that they could do, but now instead of fighting for rights, you're fighting for privileges. You know, I want to have this privilege, and why would you really need a privilege over somebody? It means that you're not strong enough to be able to compete head to head.
Yep. Perfect
Yeah.
example, affirmative action.
I knew you were going to fucking say that. I agree, though. I actually
Yeah.
viewed that as a racist thing. You're basically
It's
telling
very
an
racist.
entire
You're so incapable, we have to give you special
right.
treatment
That. Yep.
for you to have a chance at success. Why?
Yep.
And then when you fight that, the reparations.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a lot of that though.
That idea of women hating on men for sleeping around and then wanting to do the same thing, that is one of those things where an accountability needs to be had on women. Because if women were not so quick to lay down with a man, men sleeping around wouldn't be a thing.
Amen. So maybe I'm a pig and saying amen. Shame on you.
And I'm not
It's
saying
true. It's true though. It's because who are they sleeping with?
right. And I'm not saying that men shouldn't fucking also reel themselves in. They absolutely should. But you
Right.
can't put the blame solely on one gender.
Right.
Like it
It's
takes
equal
two
in
to
my
tango.
It's
right.
we're always
Equal
on
in my
the it's both sides.
Yeah,
I say, well, men do this, men do that, women do this. I'm like both.
Women
It's
could,
both.
women could easily say, you know, do you have a high body count? Yeah, I do. I don't want to be with you. They
Right.
could if
Right.
they wanted to. You know, I had this conversation with my brother, my older brother. He was saying it seems like a lot of women, they worry about that less than what men do, and it's almost like they find a pleasure in taming men.
Yeah, well, that's the
Yes.
thing. That's the whole women want a bad guy to make him theirs,
Yeah.
to make him a good guy.
Like if you can tame a bad boy, that says a lot about you, you know. And I think they kind of take pride in that. So just like men take a lot of pride in having an innocent woman, you know,
Yeah.
somebody who hasn't been around, you know, that, and just the whole
Why do you think that is?
purity? Why men want purity?
Right. Well, or want a woman that because I don't actually I don't want to say that I don't believe in that because I kind of do, but and a larger part of me doesn't. Why do you think that's a thing? Because everyone's got a past.
I think it's more for evil reasons. You are more desired to make that woman impure, and that gives you a sense of power.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. I think a lot of like these men that will, you know, in certain markets pay for virgin women, they get their rocks off on making her impure. You know, now in relationships when you want to marry somebody, I think it's, how do I word this in a delicate manner? I think that for me, making love is the ultimate way to express the way you feel to somebody. And the more that they've gone through that action with somebody else, it almost lowers the feeling of what you could give in expression.
It destroys what sexual intimacy
Yes.
is supposed to be. Right.
It's extremely important to have that sense of, this is the largest physical way I can express the way I love you. But if you've had this way expressed to you by 100 men, then it no longer
not an
holds as much
expression.
power to me, and that hurts me. I want it to hold as much power as possible. If I could actually be one with you, I would.
Okay, so but in the same conversation there, then for a man who has a high body count, it would have the same.
They'd be a hypocrite.
So they wouldn't be able to have that mindset. So you're saying the men with the high body count would fall into that first class, and for men who have a little more couth, so to speak, that would fall into the second category. Is that how you feel about that?
Say it again. Repeat that.
So for the men who have high body counts would fall into that first category that just want to destroy something pure, right? It's a control
It's a
power
trophy.
thing, right? And for men who have a little bit more integrity, I said couth a second ago, but integrity is probably a better word there. They fall into that second category where it is more about being able to show them love, and they are worried about that being diluted because she's been with so many people.
Yeah.
Is that's
Again, you have one person that's going at it through the perspective of pride, and one who's going at it through the perspective of love.
okay?
So
I always thought that the men who were hung up on the body count thing to a degree was always an insecurity thing. Like, she's been with a bunch of dudes, I'm not going to be able to measure up. And like, that's because I do believe that to an extent, but there's also part of me who just doesn't want a woman who's been had by everybody in your town. If you live in a city of 3 million people, it's not a concern. If you live in a town with 3,000, it's a very, very different conversation when literally everyone in the town has slept with your girl, and then here you are with her. Like,
yeah,
that's a different argument. But I think that also speaks to city living versus small town living, because there's different stigmas to that.
yeah. I think it's more about your expression. When you express your love to somebody that you really love, you want to be able to express it in the most powerful and I don't know, just the most powerful way possible. And if you feel like the most powerful way that you can express really doesn't hold any value, it makes you feel incomplete. Like what can you do? What else can you do to express your love if somebody else has done the exact same thing? Many other people have done the exact same thing.
I think it's the value aspect. People place different values in that aspect. So
some people, the people who run around doing it for fun really ruin it for the people who use that for an expression of feeling. That's why I don't like watching a lot of American TV.
Yeah.
It's too
Game of
casual.
Thrones, I love sci-fi and stuff like that, but as soon as I heard there's like a bunch of sex scenes in it and stuff, I can't watch it. It ruins it for me.
The books are like that too.
Are they?
Yeah, I actually was a big fan of Game of Thrones, but I'm the same way. Like, believe it or not, we actually fast forward through a lot of that shit. We watched, we're watching the second season of Reacher right now, and there was a scene where they started to have sex and like they kissed a little bit and then it went black. And then the next day started. I'm like, that's how they need to do this.
Right.
And she's like, that didn't make me feel uncomfortable at all. I'm like, because that's the intent behind it.
I actually specifically said that was very tastefully done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and that's what's lacking.
There's also no cursing in that show, which is
really?
Yeah, which is cool because
Very refreshing.
he's killing people. You know what I mean? But like, he's not cursing, and there's no sex scenes. So murder is okay, but language and sex is not.
See, yeah, he's a well-mannered murderer.
Oh man.
For my thoughts on the body count thing, one, as long as it's not hypocritical, that you
Yeah.
are expecting something from someone which you or yourself are not holding yourself up to. There's also an aspect of growth because, again, grew up very differently. At a certain point, if you're doing things out of naivety or ignorance, and you don't understand what soul ties are, you're a people pleaser, you end up doing a lot of things you really don't want to do. They're not meaningful to you. You regret them after the fact, but they've been done. And then you get to a point where you've grown. And I'm not talking 30, 40 body count. That one you need Jesus. Okay. I'm sorry.
You're going to get a lot of hate for that.
I'm just speaking in a general sense. If you're not going to clubs, hooking up with different men Monday through Saturday and Sunday, I feel like it's a different concept when you've done the growth process. You understand this is actually a pure thing. I don't want to do this with everyone. It's really special to me. And that would mean more to me than, the number, unless, again, it's 30, 40, 50.
So the number does matter to you. It's just more an aspect of you can't be a hypocrite about it. You can't have like 40
You
women
can't
under
be
your belt.
hypocrite. Okay,
and
let
be
me give a more specific example. If when you were 18, 19, when you were young and stupid, because we were all young and stupid, and you went through a phase and you were doing things with people, even if it didn't go all the way. Because for me, when I think of sex, it's not just penetration, it's the whole thing is a sexual experience. When you were doing that and you didn't know any better, I'll be more forgiving and more gracious to you than if you are 25, 30, much older. You should be doing things differently and you are doing the same thing. So almost an age comes, it plays a part in the way I see that.
I think a lot of men maybe subconsciously think about this, but if you can find a woman who has resisted temptation in any aspect of her life, it says a lot about her. It says that she's going to try harder on things and not give in to things like money or drugs or fast food. If you can meet somebody who can say no to things that urge a lot of other people, it kind of holds a higher sense of value for them. Like, wow.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't think that a lot of men have the intellect for that.
Probably not. That's why I said so maybe subconsciously. I don't know.
Yeah. I think a lot of that comes down to, though, it's how long are you willing to chase the things that you want? Because there are a lot of men out there who will try, won't get it, and move on. But those are the same men who will get it and still move on. You know what I mean? Because they're just trying to conquer and move, not settle. Which is why we talk so much about slowing things down and having a courting phase and a dating phase.
Oh,
and
that needs to come back. The courting, the chaperones, yes, that needs to come back for sure.
Do you have anything on this? Because I forgot and just had a whole nother thought about something I meant to ask earlier. You good?
Topic change?
Yeah, well, I'm going to regress because I had it and I was holding on to it and I didn't write it down.
Okay.
We were talking earlier about the mom and dad perspectives and showing children different way to work through problems. Scott, you were talking about that. You can see two different ways to solve, and the way the mom solves and the dad solves may be different. So they're learning new experiences and way to fix things. In your culture, family's big. You said that's a huge thing over there. So in Western culture, we have big homes and little families. And it's not like that in most cultures in the world. Everybody lives under the same roof, or they live next door or on the same property, and they're very involved with each other.
Yeah.
What do you think that's doing to children's development, not having aunts, uncles, grandfathers, cousins, brothers, sisters, everybody in a
village.
small, I didn't want to call it that because it's not really, it's just a community. Like,
right.
I think that.
What's the difference?
I think that a condentation in my brain.
Okay.
I think that tribe could just be your people.
Right.
Your clan could be your family. Like, your Scotland or whatever your clan just could be your name.
A village is a community as well.
I think, village and community is kind of
interchangeable.
Yeah. Did you say village? Oh.
It's funny because she said village and you don't want to be, offensive. And you're like, community?
Right. Well, that's where my brain went. I went to community because that's what I was already thinking. But it does come down to family. What do you think that does to our children? Do you think that that's doing a disservice? Because
huge disservice.
We are very quick to cut people off over here.
Let me tell you something. The family dynamic here is it's I'm gonna say these are different, but I'm using colorful language. It's worrisome for the bigger part, because I have a client, one of my clients, she's got 4 kids and they're all super close, and I find that so weird because not as a Kenyan but as an American, just as after someone who's lived here and seen what I've seen, it's very common to hear someone, I have a brother, you've never mentioned him before, where is he? I'm not even sure. What is wrong with you? Because that's, so my head goes, it's very individualistic here, the way the culture is. And I'm not sure why that happens, because they grow up in the same home, but somehow something just happens and people just branch off. And that's that. You meet at, I guess, Thanksgiving and a funeral, I guess, maybe a wedding. Back home, again, now this is starting to become a thing in Kenya, and I don't like it because we're very close-knit. It takes a village to raise a child is very literal back home. It's not, my mom is gonna watch her for a few hours and sleep at $20. No, it's your job. Like, this is our child. It's not my child or their child. It's ours. Everyone is looking out for the kids, and it helps us develop a sense of identity, a sense of belonging, a sense of community. So So like, oh, okay, so I was looked at, someone's looking out for me. I'm gonna be the person who looks out for such and such. Here, it's they don't even care about me. I have an uncle. I don't even know where he lives. So I just need to look out for myself, and it starts developing this little sense of why should I care about other people?
Does that transfer into public life? Do you find that people tend to, because like small town living here is
Right.
a lot like that.
Yes.
So do you have people and like, so that like there's still towns in America where you can leave your windows down and you can leave your purse in your car, nobody
Oh
will fuck
yeah,
with it.
I've
You know
seen
what I
that.
mean?
I go to a place, I buy milk. It's in, I don't even know where, Plant City, I think, every 2 weeks, and it's just paid for it when you
Right.
grab it. I'm like, you're just gonna trust me,
Yeah.
So yeah.
So do you think in the public life over there, is there a lot more people looking out for each other in that aspect? Because I do think that sense of community is a lot tighter when you have everybody looking out for you.
Yes.
And then follow-up question is how far does somebody have to go before you guys finally go, okay, I'm cutting you off?
Honestly, I
I never
don't
brought
know.
this up. I'm actually curious myself.
I don't know, because in my family we have the creepy uncle, and people are still going to see him and he's on his deathbed. I'm like, I would help him. He's the creepy uncle. He's done some
Right.
stuff, and he was never excommunicated from the family. Because, he's our family. Yeah, but he's an asshole.
Right.
Should be in jail. I said, but no, but it's family. Sometimes it goes way, way, way too far.
So where is that line? Because I think that family just means nothing more than a blood relation, their DNA. Like that's the
Right.
typical thing.
Right.
And I don't have DNA bonds with anyone, period.
Right.
But I have my family, and I have people that I'm willing to go to war with right now. If a phone call came through, I'm strapping up and going. Like,
Yep.
I'll spend the rest of my life in prison for this motherfucker, but I'm not calling my mom on her birthday, period. So like, where does that something has to be that line cross? And if you've
it's
got a
not possible.
creepy uncle, we know that kids isn't that spot. So where does that go? I guess it's an individual thing.
I think it's an individual thing.
Yeah.
Because for me, I would not tolerate it. After my mom sent me, I was like, I don't care, he's your brother. Once I feel a betrayal has happened, or whatever you want to call it, a lack of judgment, a crime has been committed, we're done. Even in my personal life, I've had friends betray me, and we're done. We're done. That's it. I can't leave alone being cheated on. Because I can't. I'm like, if you had the balls to do that to me, and I would never do that to you, that shows how much value you hold our friendship. So let's just walk our separate ways. Good luck. So for me, my lines are like, and my mom's like, oh, you're too strict. No, mom. I just have boundaries.
Now, is that an always thing? Like if you ran into one of those people 15 years from now, would you still be like, kick rocks?
I'll say hi, but
Yeah.
nothing else will happen.
She holds grudges.
Yeah, well,
I don't
real.
hold grudges. I
holds
draw
grudges.
lines, babe. I draw lines in the sand. Mm-hmm. Yeah, mom says it's holding a grudge.
And they are deep lines. Let's be real.
They go to hell all the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know myself. I know myself, and the things I would never do to anyone, because I hold such value. I'm also a Virgo. Maybe I may know about some other things, but I can't. The betrayal is it's the F you to my face. Like, okay, you're dead to me now.
As a Virgo, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I forgive people. I
I'll
won't
forgive
forget
you, but
what you
from
did.
far away.
I will not forget what you did.
Yep.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Toodles, motherfucker.
you think it's because you're a Virgo?
I think that has something to do with
We have a
it.
few tendencies we share, like the OCD. Yeah. Yes. Don't play around. Pisces, emotional.
I don't know anything about Pisces. All I know is that I am one.
I have to tell him. What
She
his
tells
sign
me what Pisces are supposed to be like. I just live my everyday of living one.
I'm not the person who says, oh, your zodiac determines who you are, and you can't use your zodiac to justify bad behavior. Oh, blah blah. She's always yelling at people. Yeah, it's because I'm a hot-headed. Blah blah. No, but I will say there are certain characteristics for each zodiac that definitely corresponds to who you are on some level.
And you can see it throughout the different.
You can see there. Yeah, it's for
Repeating
me.
characteristics.
Yep.
I feel
Chris is like, nah.
I feel like you could make up characteristics, jumble them between any of the signs, and you would find those in yours.
Of course.
No, you still would, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Geminis are just more known to be backstabbing.
And Virgos are perfectionists.
Yeah.
Because
So if
they're
you're a
always
Pisces
right.
and they're known to be cheaters, you have an out. I'd be like, I'm a Pisces.
Pisces like giving people too many chances, babe. Do you see?
Okay, I do, but still.
Hey, And
I'm a very forgiving person. I'm very, yeah.
you forgive and then you move on. You don't forgive and go back.
Okay.
It's like in color theory. We have red, yellow, and blue. Every other color formed is going to have something of that in it, but there was a more predominant color taking over of that.
Exactly.
Do you think that it's because you're a Pisces or that you're a Christian?
Christian.
Right.
Yep.
Pisces and Christian. You're Christian Pisces, babe.
Well, I only asked that because of the forgiveness thing. I'm one of those people that I give a lot of chances, and I forgive a lot. And in some cases, I'll forget depending on how severe it is. But I don't know. I have a big heart. I want to help people.
Yeah. I don't
huge
forget
heart.
for your sake. I forget for my own because I don't want it dragging me down.
Right.
Yeah.
And it will.
Yeah, it will.
It absolutely will.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm still learning how to do that.
Yeah.
But even if I forgive you, we're still done. I'll still forgive you. You just
Yeah. My
Lose my
biggest
number.
my biggest thing is forgiveness and then protecting my peace. You know, I can forgive a lot of things, but when people are bringing stupid shit and drama into my life all the time, I'm good on that. Like I don't want to live every single day in
those
fight
are
or
the
flight or a
boundaries.
trauma response. So
exactly.
Didn't I say on the other podcast that I love unconditionally, but there's conditions to be in my life?
yes.
Yes, that was
So
actually
good.
perfect. I love
So
that.
good.
That's good.
Yep.
So you used to play video games once, right? It was your escape, your escapism.
He actually made a few videos.
So,
with escapism as
The only time I have ever used video games as escapism was when Destiny, the first Destiny game
Well,
came
it's pretty
out.
recently then.
It's been 6 or 7 years.
To me, that's
It's been a while.
recently.
Yeah, but I was a gamer as a child. Like I had the first Nintendo console when it came out. So like I didn't have another console until after I think the Sony PlayStation came out. Like I had the Nintendo all that time while all my friends were getting Segas and the Super Nintendo and the 64. I'm still on the old school 8-bit Nintendo, but I don't think that I ever used it as an escapism until I was an adult and I actually was just burying myself in my video games to not deal with shit. And understanding what escapisms are now, I can say definitively during the Destiny time frame, it was escapism. Otherwise, it was just something that I enjoyed doing with my friends or to kill time.
Because we were talking about that on the way. Pardon me. We were talking about that on the way here, and I definitely used it as escapism when I was a child. You know, I didn't have a very good childhood, and I used it throughout my whole life. And it's just because the life that you have is not as good as the life you're pretending to have, right? And we got into arguments with people on TikTok about guys who want to play 4 to 8 hours a day. And they're refusing to claim that it's escapism. Oh, I just like it. It's like, you obviously like it more than the life that you're living.
Right.
Because otherwise you would just live your life. Your girlfriend or your whoever is in your life would take priority over those games. You'd more than want to spend time with them and then play games when you're not with them than you would want to play games and then when you can't play games, spend it with them.
Right.
You know? And I mean, that's for anything, really, any type of escapism. But yeah, I just thought you could
Don't
relate. 'Cause I know.
mention books. Hey,
Yeah.
don't
yeah.
mention books right now.
She's that way with
We
books.
actually argued. But I was like, but I was like, one kind of escapism, babe, breaks relationships. The other one doesn't. I've not had a divorce happening because someone was a bookworm. Excuse me very much. It might be a form of escapism, but I'm just saying it's healthier.
So let's look at statistics and numbers.
Okay.
How many people are book nerds versus how many people are video game nerds? Because it's a lot easier to get lost in a video game than it is to get lost in a book, because in order to read a book, you need to be undisturbed. You can't have background noises. You need to be
True.
focused to actually understand what's going on. Whereas with video game, you can talk shit to the guy on the mic, shoot him in the face, and
Have
still,
friends.
That's
still
true.
interact with people in your house. Like that's so it's a very different thing. I am, believe it or not, I'm pro video game for children. I believe it teaches problem solving skills. It can teach them to read. Because if they can't play with loud noises or they don't have headphones on, they have to actually read what's going on the screen.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that I agree with video games, and people never hear me say that because it's not a popular clip, right? So my shit talking video games is by design on TikTok. I think the problem with video games comes when you start to neglect being a father or being a mother or you know what I mean? And like, that's a fucking problem. And you can view it as escapism, or you can just view it as neglectfulness because you enjoy playing video games more than you enjoy being a father, because some people just don't like their kids. Some people don't like the people they're married to, and they're not willing to leave. So Yeah, video games were a huge part of my younger childhood. Although I didn't use it as escapism when I was a kid because I would go to other people's houses to play
Yeah.
video games
Different
because
times,
they had
yeah.
the bigger consoles. But if I had to play at home, it was always in the middle of the night because that was the only time I wasn't getting screamed at or abused. So like I had a shitty childhood too. And to be a gamer at home would mean that I had to be at home. And I was an 80s kid. If I could leave the house, I was leaving the fucking house. Like, I didn't want to be there. So, yeah.
Different childhoods. Why?
Yeah, especially compared to you.
Yeah, was something I had to learn to add grace to because I was like, wow.
She did not like that I played games, and I didn't like that she went dancing. We both had that one thing that
Yeah.
we loved to do. That the
And we
other
had a
didn't like.
certain bias about.
Yes.
Because
So-
his ex-wife, bless her heart, yeah, she'd go out flirt with guys. There were certain boundaries she was crossing every time she went out. And for me, I was like, but baby, go out to dance.
Mm-hmm.
Like I might dance with a guy, but it's Latin dance. I never go to those hip hop clubs.
she
It's
doesn't do the
always
grinding or
if there's no salsa, merengue, bachata, I don't want to be there because I'm not gonna go start booty shaking. Why? You know, I don't want to do that. I want to do classy dancing. So people are gonna be there, gonna be classy. The older guys who learn the space. So we're not grinding on each other. There's a space between us. We're just dancing, literally just dancing, social things. But for him, so I had to show him that there is a certain aspect to going out and dancing that you are not familiar with, that does not cross a boundary, not a personal one or a relationship one. Same thing with going out to EDC or rave or whatever. Same thing. The rave culture, I'm sure you both know, it has its. Yeah, I've gone to EDC Orlando a few times now. I missed the last two, but things do happen at the rave. I've seen someone who's walked up to me and she was so sweet. She offered me something I thought was something else. I said, "Will you like some Coke?" I was like, "No, thanks." I was like, "Wait." I was like, "What do you mean?" And she showed me. I was like, "Oh, no, but thanks, thank you." I don't need that.
So considerate. I
That's so
appreciate it.
sweet of you. She was really being nice. She's like, "Can I hang out here? You alone?" I was like, "Yeah, you want to hang out with me? Cool." Because we're there to just have fun. So those things do happen, but I do not partake in them. And I know this goes against the Bible of be of the world, but not be in the world, but not of the world. So I go have my fun. I go do my thing. I'll go headbang for a few hours, drink my vodka, energy drink, and then I'll leave. And it ends there. But he didn't understand there was that part to it. So it took a lot of...
Yeah. I think we really struggled with the clothing first. It was like, I'm more fine with what you want to do, just looking a certain way when you go do it. And I think once we got over that hump, then it became easier for everything else. But the video games, she struggled with.
It was the underboob. It was the only top you saw. I was wearing a million other things. That's the one you saw.
Oh, we pick it out too.
Yeah.
Like, look at my outfit. You see one thing and you're like, yeah, this. And she'd be like, but my outfit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the underboob.
Like, why is that? Fine, babe. But then, weirdly enough, I was actually very uncomfortable in that top. You don't realize it until you're there, because you can wear something. You're standing still when you're wearing something. It could look nice and decent. Start moving around and things start moving around. And you're like, shit, I shouldn't have worn this. I wasn't gonna tell him that, but
I'm so sick of scantily dressed women calling it cute. That looks cute. That is not cute. Puppies are cute. Okay. We don't want to screw puppies when we see them, all right? There's a difference with
it's cute to ourselves, babe.
Yeah.
And other women who are straight. I'm sure the gay women will be like,
She said that maybe it was your own biases with the video games and the dancing thing. I would have a huge problem if she wanted to start going out to clubs and dancing, or even salsa dancing.
what if she was already
merengue.
doing it when you met her?
That would be a different conversation because you have to accept the person that you're with, right? I'm not going. See, I think that if somebody has those hobbies and you know that going into it and you try to change them, I think that's more about control than it is about anything else. And I think that also comes down to ego, but that's a different discussion. I personally, if I met her and she's like, I go to the club every weekend, I'd be like, okay, cool. It was nice meeting you, because I don't want that.
Right.
I don't want to try to compete with that, because
And you don't want to also try to change her because that's selfish.
right. I also know what goes on in clubs, and like I know what goes on. I'm a 43-year-old man who still owns Jinkos. So EDM
Wow.
and raves and shit were like a huge
yeah.
part of. I almost wore them today, and I was like, I need to get used to wearing tighter pants again, because I've been wearing my Jinkos a lot lately. But because baggy pants are coming back in style, apparently, I'm seeing a lot of that.
Get you some, babe.
I'm good.
But I know the stigma that is attached to all of that.
Yep.
And it's one of those things that making a decision, an active decision to be with somebody who's going to do those things, you will always have that predefined stigma of what goes on at those events, that if you don't go, you're always going to wonder if your person is a part of that.
And
I don't know how
I
you
don't
overcame
have
it.
that anymore.
No,
No, I don't.
that's because you trust your woman.
Yes, it is 100%. And I'm the type of person that gives trust until you break the trust, whereas a lot of people make you earn the trust, because they have that wall up right away and you have to get over that wall. I don't. I'm very open to being hurt. I'm fine with that.
He's a Pisces. See, I told you.
I'm cool with being hurt. Fuck it.
Yeah, it is what it is. I'll live, But she, I had the stigma about that, but it was from my experiences with what I had before. And it's just that compromise. As long as she was willing to move even a little bit on something that may have been a little beyond my boundary, it shows me that she cares enough to gain my trust in that area. To not wear certain things that she love to wear when she goes out to these things, and being like, oh yeah, absolutely, I'll dress more. I'll
hide the underboob.
Yeah, I'll dress more
But I'll show the
classy or whatever, if it makes you comfortable, just so I can actually go do the dance. And it shows me it's really about the dance. It's not about showing off and looking a certain way, and that's the biggest concern when it comes to men and women going out to the clubs. It's, why are you really going out to the clubs?
Right.
Are you going out to
He
dance?
actually asked me these questions, and there was a lot
Yeah.
of resentment. I was like, why are you making me patient zero? Why am I the one who has to prove to you that it's okay for this to happen? Why is it me you're putting on the spot?
You didn't necessarily have to prove to me that you could do it, but you also had to prove to me that you cared about my boundaries as well.
Right, yes.
know?
Which,
Yeah.
now within that aspect, to answer the question too, there's also just me as a person. It's who are you dealing with? Because the club is the club, no matter who goes, but who's going. So it's not just about trust, about my own boundaries. When I go out, I have my own boundaries that I adhere to.
But then it says a lot about you that you like to do that in the first place. If you go to clubs where everybody's grinding and the music itself is provocative and talking about doing
No, I'm not
certain
talking about
things,
those, I'm talking about
then it's kind of like, okay, well, this says a lot about if that's what you like to do. But
Right.
like I said, merengue and the type
No,
of dance
I
that
go
she
to
is
Latin
completely
clubs,
different. And I
yeah.
was, super comfortable with that. It'd be like her going line dancing at a country bar.
I love those.
Me too. I'd be like, oh, that's totally different.
Right.
Right.
So it is about the scenery and what exactly. It's about the undertones. Of
I
everything
hate
as
guys
well.
trying to pick up on me. So I'm like, I'm here to dance, move your ass.
When he was
opposite.
trying to understand what you were doing and trying to understand like the what it was that did that for you, and you took it personal as you said, making it patient zero.
Yeah.
Did you ever step back to go, maybe he's just trying to understand, or did you feel like he was attacking what you were doing?
Both.
Yeah.
Because I got where he was coming from because I know about his ex-wife.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, why can't you just trust my judgment? Why do I do wear that? I'm like, I don't know, because it's what I wear. What do you want me to, because I don't have the answer. I'm just like,
Right. Yeah,
or
we
why do
try
you
to
have to,
understand.
why do you have, I don't know if you've seen some of my, how they dress on EDC. Someone is wearing basically a bikini-esque thing, but, with glitter on it, a lot of glitter shit on it. The leggings with the holes, but I'm able to make sure my booty is covered. But that's my boundary. I didn't realize this boundary is the under boob. And of course, I regretted that decision because the top itself was very uncomfortable and I could not headbang properly.
Yeah.
But again, talking about the whys, I'm like, how do I have to answer that? Go and Google it. Why are you asking me? Why do you play that video game?
Yeah, that's the difference in perspective, though. Like, to her, certain areas of her body, she doesn't see it the same way.
Right, I don't see them as sexual.
It's getting the other person to understand the way that
Right, I was like,
you see that.
okay.
That's the difficult part.
Yeah, so I was like, so if I wore a top and my nips were out and I had no bra on, he's like, that. Like, what is wrong? So again, we're very different people. But I did explain this stuff. I was resentful for a while, and he knows that. It took a while to heal from that. So like, dude, she's like, man, and now I understand. Oh, good for you, bitch.
Yeah.
Now I'm traumatized,
Yeah,
and I don't want to go.
Yeah, there has to be compromise in all areas. When you're going to be with somebody that lived a completely different life than you, there has to be melding. There has to be, you have to work on living together in the areas where you were all about you. You cannot just be about you anymore, you know, and we both had to do that.
And the other thing was that I was like this before you dated me. So, a lot of the time. I was like, babe, did you know what you were getting into? You signed the terms and conditions.
But yeah, it wasn't about the actions of what you were doing. It was just about the presentation.
The few, I know,
Yeah.
babe. But I'm saying at that time, that's what my brain was. And I was like,
Yeah.
it's like dating a smoker and telling him to quit smoking. Why?
Right.
You found them that way, then walk away from them.
Right.
Leave them alone.
You know that the conversation that has to be had there, you're a very introspective person.
He is, yeah.
Like, you can tell that you guys are actually a lot alike in that aspect. we'll get in. We'll have a disruption. We don't call them arguments because they're not really an argument.
Oh, I like disruption.
It is.
Using that one.
It's only a disruption in the day because like it's not going to go more than 35, 40 minutes at most. Like there's been days where it was a day, but now they're very short interruptions of our day, a disruption. But she's very introspective and she'll like pick apart the conversation afterwards to try to figure out her flaws and everything. And if I don't get defensive right off rip, I'm able to do the same thing, but I'm able to do it in the moment. Don't laugh at me, woman. And it's real shit. There have been times where I've immediately been defensive and then immediately like, I didn't mean that. Like, don't want to be that guy. Like, okay, now we need to have a discussion as to why all this is going on.
Right.
But she'll have that conversation and 3 days later she'll be like, hey, when this happened, did blah, 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 blah. And it's really her picking herself apart. And that's how she's evolved as a person. And I've seen it a lot over the last year and we've had these conversations and now it's funny to me because I've processed the conversation in the moment and I've moved past it. I don't think about it again. And she's, really dwelling that introspective thing and having that, there is a self-awareness there that a lot of people lack.
Yep.
And hearing that you guys are able to come to understandings and being able to articulate the actual root of what the problem is. Like it's not that you're modeling. It's not that you're not dressed to, on the internet. It's that there's that one specific thing that makes him feel like that's mine or
Right.
whatever. And being able to articulate that to your person, there's no aggression there. There's not a reason to be defensive. This is making me feel this kind of way. And I want to talk to you about it so that you can
Right.
understand how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And I was terrible at bringing that up.
It's
Oh
hard
my
Yeah,
gosh.
because we're taught that we don't matter.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Yep.
as men as a whole, people don't give a fuck about how we feel. That's why we're so quick to be like, that you disrespected me because we haven't taken the time to really learn what's going on and to process our emotions because our emotions don't matter.
Yeah.
So
And you don't take everything in the moment either. Like, for example, she has her own traumas of men trying to control her in those aspects. I don't take that into consideration when I bring it up to her.
Right.
So I'm not going to add into the possibility of her getting defensive because of it, because I don't even think about it. When I talk to her about certain things she's showing on her social media platforms, we've resolved it now, but it doesn't even occur to me that there was men in her past that have tried to control her putting that on there. And that she instantly will get defensive because
Immediately.
her mindset is going to think he's trying to control me instead of he has this concern or boundary that he wants to talk about, and then instantly one wall goes up, then my wall goes up, and it isn't until later that we can reflect on it and I can take into account every possibility of what caused those walls to go up to even know how to address it so those walls don't go up the second or third time, depending on how many times we do it.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've grown quite quickly compared to a lot of relationships who have this many
I was like,
clashes.
maybe we need to go to counseling at some point. I was like, we want to be together. We love each other, but I want to murder you sometimes. Actually, most of the time when we're living together.
But I told her counseling's for people who can't self-evaluate. It's for people who can't do
Right.
everything,
Right.
And a lot of people do need that. A lot of people, they'll never get past their problems because they don't have that outside perspective of being able to look at everything and being like, if this changed, then this would change, But we've been blessed to not have to do that.
Yeah.
self-accountability goes a long way.
Yeah.
And hearing what you guys were just saying, I think that a lot of that also comes down to knowing your person, because if you don't know that she's been controlled by a lot of people and you're trying to have a conversation about you and the way that you're feeling, and she takes it as you're trying to control me and change me, of course that's going to make you feel like your feelings don't matter and you can't come to her and talk to her about things. And now you guys are right back to where you were. So how did that how did you guys overcome that aspect? Did it come to the fact that now you know all of her past and like you understand her traumas and triggers and you're able to navigate those now? Or did you guys talk about that? And
We've tried a little bit of both. There's been a lot of times where I've tried to understand things of her past, but it's really hard for her to talk about, and it brings up a lot of trauma. And that's caused a lot of issues, and we've had to overcome those then. So it's almost like to get over one obstacle, there's many more that I'd have to jump over in order to clear the one obstacle I'm trying to focus on. And we open a lot of doors that I wish there was ways I didn't. I would have known how to get through without having to open.
Yeah.
It's
a
almost
good way to put that.
Yeah, it's really difficult. A lot of, I don't want to say regrets in doing it that method, because now instead of overcoming one door, we've overcame 5. But it was harder, and we've been through a lot, but we are much stronger, doing it the way that we've done it than I think we are able to realize, because we can't go back and do it the other way.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I don't know. Did I answer the question, or do you want to ask it again?
No. Well, you answered it, but you brought up a whole lot of other shit.
Sorry.
So
It's just increase out, babe.
My bad.
this is the way that my brain works, though, because I cartwheel through things,
Yep.
and like I said, I process in the moment, and then once it's processed, I don't really think about it again because I've already worked through the shit.
Yeah.
I know that she had a lot of questions about long distance relationship stuff that she wanted to get into, and I'm gonna kind of step back because I had actually not planned on talking a lot this episode.
Oh,
Like,
that's all gone.
is it? We sat down this morning. I'm like, I really just you're gonna have to lead the interview, babe. I don't have anything. And then you guys started talking, and my brain started going, and like
That's
questions
a good
started.
thing,
coming.
though.
She
Yeah.
kept saying you and Chris are really going to hit it off. She kept saying that on the way
Yeah.
here.
Well, I'm kind of enamored by you. I didn't think that. We
Me
get
too.
we get along with a lot of the people that come in here. I don't think there's anybody that's been in here. I've had one interview where I was like, I'll never interview that person again, and it wasn't because they were bad. It was just because they didn't interview well.
Yeah.
But there have been a couple people who have said shit that has stuck with me for days. And like I've had to text them after they left and like, hey man, it's been a week. I'm still fucking dwelling on this for that, you know. But
Yeah.
I think that's how we grow. So having people who are able to be, who are intelligent, because that's lacking nowadays, but are self-reflective. It's a breath of fresh air, and there's been a lot of things that I now get to think about because of all of this. What was the issue with the video games? Because that's been brought up a couple times, but
Stereotypes. Yeah, I just had just really negative bias toward them because every time I've heard of a video gamer, it's he never messes with me, just in his room, just like a zombie. Think of a zombie, just a fat guy eating Cheetos, covered in Cheeto dust.
And I mean, mind you, the first perspective she gets, I have over 100 game consoles. And
So that was just
stuff.
like, my
wow.
Jesus
She walks
Christ.
in and this is all she sees. She's like, oh,
What did I do?
you know, like I can see how this is gonna go. You know.
What did I get into?
Yeah, but it wasn't like that. Obviously, I didn't game much with her. I tried to get in every now and then, but we'd have to dedicate certain days to it. And that's another thing about living far apart is I can actually do it when I feel like I need that, you know, entertainment. You know, I don't do it for an escape really anymore. It is more for just enjoyment. But I can do it on my own time now, and I'm not limited to a certain time of a certain day.
And also, his
you know,
ex-wife is addicted to gaming.
which is why we're divorced.
Yeah.
do you how old are you now?
How old am I, baby?
Hi, babe.
36, I think.
Okay.
37.
Am I going to be 37?
So what
Am I
was
36?
okay?
Wait.
So then what was your first console?
You're going to be 37 soon.
Well, I grew. My brother is 8 years older than me, so his first console. So we had the Pong and Master
Okay.
Sega Master System,
Right.
and Atari and everything. So I mean, I have all of that now, and I have every variation of everything. And
So how has your video game playing evolved? Because like I used to love shooter games. Like I was real big into the Ghost Recon series before it became first person, like single player open world gaming. But I don't enjoy video games like that anymore. I don't want to be in lobbies with people. I don't want to have other people on the microphone. Like the only thing I really play now are like Need for Speed or something that I can play where I don't have to engage. I can set the controller down and go fuck around for a little bit. Like I think maybe in the last 5 years I've spent maybe 40 hours playing video games. Like it's not much.
I used to play a lot of online and stuff. I got in trouble when I was 18, and I went through a whole just mess. And I did a lot of online gaming because I was stuck in my house and I couldn't go anywhere else. Now all of my video gaming is basically like playing a book. I don't play online. I don't do anything. Everything's by myself, and it has to be an amazing story that draws me in. So it's almost like I'm reading a book, but I suck at reading books. So
Yep.
I
Audible.
yeah, she got me to start listening to audiobooks and stuff, and it's been I think I've audiobooked more books than I've actually read now. So, but yeah, basically it's just they're books for me. You know, it's all about the story and getting attached to the characters and stuff, and so.
So what is the last game that you got into that like you were super into?
The Yakuza series. I don't know if you ever heard of them. I don't want to talk about video games in here, but you play a guy who is in the Yakuza, but he wants to get out of the Yakuza, and he takes over an orphanage where he grew up in, and you get attached to all these kids and everything, and you go through their daily lives with them, and you know they get bullied at school, they have crush, and you kind of help them through all these things. And there's a lot more to it than that, but this is what really drew me in, because I've played it since they first came out on the PlayStation 2, and now you're basically a guy who's just trying to protect the children that you're raising, almost like you're their father at this orphanage, and you're doing whatever it takes, even pretending you don't exist anymore in order to protect them. And there's a lot of really cool stories. It's funny. It's like a giant series of books, you know. But
That's something that a lot of people have never probably considered on the video game aspect. the way that the series work like that. Because like Call of Duty is just it's just new maps. The game is the same over and over and over
It
again.
is,
You just shoot each other in the face and run around and talk shit. There's no real sustenance to it. But then you got games like that and open world games that are ongoing sagas. What was your favorite console?
Dreamcast.
Oh man, I had a Dreamcast when I was on house arrest.
Yep. Shenmue is my all-time favorite game.
Yeah, you still have a Dreamcast?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's funny. We modded my Dreamcast and it worked for like 3 weeks, and then it broke.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, another thing that I found was really interesting is she had a problem with religion when we got together, and that kind of causes some fights.
Oh, yes. Hi,
She considers herself pagan.
Yeah, but I have a Christian background.
Yeah, well, also a Muslim background.
And I still listen to gospel music. I
Yeah.
jam to that shit.
Yeah, but she just had kind of a
I had some bad experiences in the church, being judged and being yanked off the stage in the middle of a dance. I wasn't twerking or anything, but I was wearing a dress that I guess the PCA church crude, you know. I've grown up with a lot of, I've been kicked out of church once because I was wearing pants. I was like, God doesn't care if I'm wearing pants. Just in the middle of praying, I was yanked out. I was like, okay, you screw all of you.
It's the difference between religion and a relationship.
Exactly. But that's all I knew when I was growing up. So we got into it, and he was like, "Baby, it's not the church, it's people. People are the ones who ruin the relationship with God. You too focused on the group aspect, and
right now, I mean, so many people are hating Christians, or you hate Muslims, or you hate Christians, and people need to realize, and I've gone over this a few times. Christians are not bad people. Muslims are not bad people. Hindus are not bad people. Prideful Christians are bad people. Prideful Muslims are bad people. Prideful Hindus are bad people. They are the ones that are trying to assert dominance.
Yep.
In these religions, pride is the root of sin, pretty much. I know they say for the love of money is the root of all evil, but that is greed, and greed couldn't exist without pride. So I say that pride is the root of all evil. You know, if you take pride out of the religion, it's peaceful. But these people are running that religion with the sin.
You're one of few people that I've ever actually heard quote that properly. Most people just say money is the root of all evil.
No, it's for the love of
It's
money.
the love of money is the root of all evil. Yeah, because you're idolizing something that. So with that being said, guys, remember you are the authors of your own life,
So grab a pen.
and we will see you on the next one.
Bye, guys.
Bye, bumblebees.